Today, I'm joined by someone who has not only mastered the piano, but redefined what it means to be a modern day musician and educator. With over 1 billion views across social media, Stephen has captivated audiences worldwide. From playing on the streets with nothing but a piano and a dream, to playing for royalty, billionaires, and sold out audiences across more than 80 countries. Stephen's journey is a testament to the power of talent, resilience, and fearlessness. But he isn't just a musician, he's an educator on a mission. Through the Ridley Academy, he has taught over 30,000 students how to break free from sheet music, play from the heart, and truly experience the joy of music. His story is one of reinvention, passion, and perseverance. His journey from playing on the streets to playing on some of the world's most prestigious stages is nothing short of inspiring. I'm super excited to have him here with us today. It is, of course, Stephen Ridley. Thank you so much.
That was something to experience. Thank you.
It's all very true. I'm absolutely excited and honored to be here with you.
Well, I'm so happy here and I'm happy to be with you.
Thank you so much. Before we get into anything, can you tell us a little bit more about that journey from the streets to the playing in front of sold out audiences and stages and headlining all these big artists?
It's crazy. And often playing the same songs, which is the wildest thing.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a little village. There was no musicians in the village. It was never a realistic thing for me to be a musician. That's not really a career path that was ever talked about. And so, you know, like mum and dad from a working class background, they just want me to not have what they went through. So it was impressed upon me from a young age that it's nice that you enjoy music. It's a great hobby. But you've got to work hard at school, go get a good job, all the usual. And they meant that from a good place. And I did that. And I worked hard and I got the A's. I went to university and I got the triple first class. And then I ended up with this great job in investment banking, top team in the top investment bank in the world at the time. And I thought I'd made it. I was super happy when I got the job. I danced with an umbrella down the street in London.
Like the movies.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Oh my God, it's all over. And I called my mom. I was like, it's a new life. Get out the Mercedes magazine. Yeah. And that was happy. It was the accomplishment of a goal. It was happy. But then when I arrived for the job, I was like, what is this? And I was spending 20 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, working on something I didn't care about. I certainly didn't admire. And so therefore I didn't really care about my own life and I didn't admire my own life. I'm spending my entire time doing something I don't think is super admirable. Then I have not much admiration for myself. And there's no Rolex that's going to fix that. And I was really fortunate to get to learn that really young. I was 21 when I was in that team. And I was surrounded by, a couple of years before they'd had this economic crash, they'd fired everybody. Yeah. Then there's this huge gap. And then they were hiring me into this team. And so most people I was working with had been working there 20, 30 years. They'd had to do a lot to get into this team. And somehow I got into it. And, your clients are the government and the biggest companies in the world. And I'm meeting all these inspiring people, but I was always just the advisor too. I'm never going to be the guy. The highest I'll ever go in this bank is advisor to somebody I admire. I'll never be somebody I admire. And I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wasn't going to find it working there 20 hours a day, underslept and miserable. I've since my dad died, I've had this profound feeling of I just have an intolerance for wasting time. He died when he was 50 years old, very suddenly in my arms. Didn't see it coming, was supposed to go on holiday that day. And he just taught me the best lesson of all time. He taught me what happens when you don't take action. He taught me what happens when you say one day too many days in a row. And I found myself saying the same thing. Oh, one day I'm just going to get a couple bonuses and then I'm going to go start something. And then meanwhile, I would meet people who were really living life people I would just been honest, usually before that, in the naivety of being an 18-year-old who thought he was going places, I would have looked down on this stuff. I, I would have been like, oh, like I'm aiming so much higher than this. I'm talking like my friend who became a ski instructor, having the time of his life, and then he got a job writing for a ski magazine. And so he was skiing all year round, and he was getting paid to go skiing, and he was sending me these pictures, and I was sitting at my desk like, what? And then the thing that really moved me was seeing a street artist. I went to Barcelona. I saw my brother was getting married. He had a stag do. He's 11 years older than me, and he's a military guy. So he drinks like an Olympic sport. And I'm not really a drinker. So I was kind of, 20 minutes into the night out, and I was like KO'd. And the next day I was feeling incredibly delicate. And they all went and played golf, and I don't know how to play golf either. So I found myself found myself like on this strip in Marbella, feeling utterly miserable. I hate my life. I'm hungover. I'm tired. My hair was falling out from stress, which I was really insecure about at the time. My teeth were wobbly. I was like, I am just not doing well. And yet everybody who meets me tells me how successful I am, which is the most bittersweet feeling. You want to keep up the pretense. You want to say, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. But you live in a lie, because whatever success is, it's not that. And I was scared. I had no safety net. I knew I was lucky to get this job. I was petrified on what do I do. And then I'm walking down this street, and I see a nice little cafeteria, and I'm like, man, I need to pick me up. I'm on the mother of all hangovers. And I sit down, I drink an espresso. I order another espresso, and a couple of coffees into it, I sort of just come conscious of my surroundings, and I realize there's a guy on the other side of this street playing a guitar. Amazing guy. He was building sandcastles and then playing the guitar in front of it. So he built these elaborate sandcastles of like, it was dogs playing poker.
Oh,
Like the most
yeah.
amazing. And then he played guitar in front of it. And so I'm watching this guy, and in this kind of not well slept days, hungover days, and he's just the freest man I've ever seen. He's playing his music. He's so into the music. Doesn't have a care in the world. And I'm supposed to be the successful guy. I'm supposed to feel like I've made it. I hate my life. I don't have any real friends. I had a gold digging girlfriend. I knew she was a gold digging girlfriend. I was kind of okay with it. That's how low my self-esteem was. I was willing to accept that. I had a Rolex and a Prada suit, and I'm sitting there miserable. Like, what am I doing in my life? What am I going to do next? All I can think about is, what do I do next? How do I get out of this? But I can't, but I must do, but I can't. And I'm stuck in this rut, looking at a guy who's playing on the streets, and he has everything, and I have nothing. And I was like, wow, I just realized you'll never have enough of what you don't need to make you happy. And how much until enough is enough. And it's not like I was making crazy money, but as soon as I had like $5,000 in the bank, I never had that before. It was more than I was spending. So I was like, how much more than you're spending? Like, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this guy, and then me being the kind of person I am, I'm crazy about maths. I love maths. And I'm looking at his box, and kind of every time he finishes a song, there's a ching, 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 ching. And then he stops and he has a cigarette, and people looking at his sandcastle and ching, 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 ching. I thought, oh, hold on a minute. Like, I'm doing the math. I'm like, well, if somebody gave him like 50 cents, and it seems like 1 in 30 people are giving him a thing, then I'm doing the math, and I'm looking around, I'm like, I think this guy's making more money than me. And I was like, no, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a good day. And I walked up to him, and we get to chatting. And I asked him, I was like, how much money do you make? And he's like, I have no idea. That answer, I was like, what? My whole life, I sit at my desk miserable, working out how much I'm getting paid an hour, how much I'm getting paid an hour. That's how I make it make sense. What did I make in the last 5 minutes of misery? Okay, all right. Well, and if I stay another year, it'll be double. So I go, and I'm doing math all the time in my head to try and make this make sense. And here I talk to a guy, and he doesn't even know how much he makes. I'm like, God, that's the richest man in the world. That's the richest man in the world. He doesn't have he don't even think about money, which if you want to define wealth, it's that. And I said, well, what do you mean? How do you not know how much money? He was like, well, look, if I'm thirsty, I put my hand in the box. I go get a Coke. If I need food, I can put my hand in the box, get some food. I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, where do you live? Do you have like a tent, or, you're in the streets? How do you live? He's, oh, no, I built my own. I've got a 6-bedroom house on top of the hill. I was like, wait, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, we just built a recording studio and blah, blah. I was like, what? And how did you do that? And he's like, I just play. If we need to like fix something, I just play. I get the box. When there's enough in there, I go do the thing. I was like, what? I just couldn't think with that. And while we're talking, his girlfriend came on one of those big Amsterdam push bikes with the big wheels with this oversized dog. And she was so in love with him. They were like so best friends. She had this little pixie haircut. She's super cute. And she came and sat, and I was like, God, I never had that. I went to an old boys school. Didn't really have many girlfriends. And then I'm in banking, and then it's just some gold digging girl. I knew she didn't care about me. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, you're loved. You share so much beauty. You're free in every way that I'm not. And I left that. I couldn't forget it. And then I go back to banking the next day. I'm sitting in the office with all these kind of self-congratulatory, pinky ring wearing, double barrel surname guys.
I know the one.
Yeah. Many famous surnames. And to be totally honest, many pretty stupid guys with family connections. And, they used to refer to me as a diversity hire. Because they all get hired because their daddy's going to be a client. And then I'm the village kid who got all the grunt work. But I was quite proud of that at the time. But I go back to this environment. It didn't make sense anymore. And so a week went by, and I was waiting for the bonus. You get a bonus every year in banking. I'm just waiting. I'm like, I have suffered. It is, let's go. And then the bonus came, and then I get all the tax bill and everything. I'm like, oh, really? That's a year, one of my golden years. And I'm looking at this check, and I'm like, and I'm thinking about this guy. And I'm looking at me, and I'm looking at the check, and I'm thinking about the guy, and I'm thinking about where I've come from, and I'm thinking about my parents, I'm thinking about everything, and I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, I am not happy. I'm not happy. I feel like my dad. I feel like a little bitch. I'm so scared of living. And I say I'm doing it for security, and I'm saying I'm doing it because I want a better life, and I'm saying I'm doing it so I can make the money to go start my own business one day. And I'm not. I'm just a little bitch who's too scared to actually go and live. I have no confidence. I don't know how to make things go right. And that's why I'm here. And I can posture and pretend I'm successful, but I'm not. I have no idea what I'm doing. And this is the only way I know how to live. And this isn't going to work. And I got really upset. I got assigned to a new client. It's a big food retailer called Sainsbury's in the UK.
Oh, and, yes, I'm familiar.
Well, that sucks because I was working with like a load of US clients. And so I was on their schedule doing the LA time zone. And then now I've got to be there at 6 a.m. So I'm working till 5 a.m. and then I'm going to be there at 6 a.m. And I'm like, oh, I can't take this anymore. And then I got promoted, double salary, double bonus. Oh, and again, how much is enough? And then I did a few days, and I was like, crying in the middle of the night, just underslept and over emotional. And I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm miserable. I'm truly, I think I'm depressed. I think I might be depressed. I don't believe in that stuff, but I'm feeling this feeling, and it scares me. And it's that I wake up utterly miserable, and then I spend my whole day doing stuff I don't want to do. And I think I would have been better off if I didn't wake up. And I don't want to die. I'm petrified of dying. But that statement is true. I'm waking up miserable, and I'm going to bed more miserable. And that's repeating. And I don't know if I can keep. And my mum's a lovely woman, and I'm expecting that motherly love. And she went, Stephen, everyone hates the job. You're getting paid well for it. Get over it. And I was like, what? What? My mum was a midwife in a government hospital. She was amazing. I used to see her coming home from work beaming, delivering babies, life into this world. She loved it. She's famously said to me she never feels like she worked a day in her life, never thought about money. And then she's telling me, and I'm like, what? And then I had to do something really scary, which I'd not done before in my life at that point. And it was really make a decision. Because up until that point, my decisions had been kind of made for me, or they'd been on automatic because of what everybody else does. And I'd reached the end of that road. You know, you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good job, and then what? 40 years, retire and die? Like what? And then what? And I can see this path, and I see the guys around me 20 years my senior, and they're miserable. My boss had a £250,000 paperweight, like $300,000 paperweight. He was single. He used to sleep with prostitutes all the time. Took drugs in his toilet. It's a ghost of Christmas future. I was like, what the? That can't be me. And I decided dramatically to stand up. And the head of the entire investment bank was in this team. Very scary individual. And I'd never talked to him before the whole time of working there. But I thought this is who I should quit to. So I went up and I was like, can I have a minute of your time? And he's like perplexed why I'm going up to his desk. It's all an open plan office.
Yeah.
He's perplexed why I'm standing at his desk. He's like the puppet master of the world. And who's this little runt? And I was like, can I have a word? So he's like, yeah, okay. And he takes me into a room, one of these glass rooms that everybody can see into, and everybody's looking because how is he going in with him? Like and I go into this room and I said, look, I'm, I think I'd like to leave. And then he's like, oh, okay, I get it. Sherry, can you come in here? Just, yeah. And then can you bring the documents? Yeah. And good. Thank you. Sits there silently for 2 minutes. She comes in with a blank contract and he pushes it in front of me and he says, all right, what do you want? And I was like, what? You know, how much? I was like, no, I already get paid too much. Like I already have too much. No, you don't understand. Like I'm miserable. Like I just want, I want to go do something different. He's like, how much are they paying you? I'm like, wow. What? And he just, because when working in that job, you're privy to a lot of information. And so he assumed I was going to another bank who's like poached me. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not going to the bank. He's like, you're not going to go to another bank. I'm like, no. He's like, so you'll sign a document now saying that you can't work in another bank for the next 2 years. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so what are you going to go and do? I was like, I have no idea. He's like, what? What are you talking? Like,
crazy person.
And nobody quits this team. It's up or out. You promoted or fired, but nobody quits. This is the golden ticket. What are you doing? And you're the village kid of all the people. And it's like I was out my body looking at this movie playing out between us. And I was like, I'm watching my mouth speak from like, I'm like, I can't believe the words I'm saying. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to leave. And he said, word for word, wow. And I thought, man, I'm brave. I've like done something right. He went, wow, I've never seen someone burn their life before. He's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Good luck. Stood up and walked out. And less than 5 minutes later, I'm escorted out. I'm not allowed to go back to my desk. I have to wait there. Security comes. They take my pass, take the BlackBerry. Under 5 minutes later, I'm out the door. This is a place it's all I've known. I used to sleep on my BlackBerry so when it vibrates, it can wake me up. It's all I've known is being at this desk for the last 2 years. And suddenly I'm out. And I am free. I'm so free, I can taste it. I literally have a taste in my mouth of excitement. I'm like, oh shit, it just got real. What have I done?
Yeah.
This is big. I feel like I just turned the volume of my life from like 1 to 10. I spent my whole life living between 1 and 2. I just cranked the volume. What the fuck have I done? This is real. What have I done? And then all these other guys who are like analysts and juniors come running out and they're like, what happened? Thinking that I got fired. And I was like, I quit. And they're like, where are you going? Like, who's poached you? Yeah. And I was like, are you going to Rothschild? Where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, what? I think I'm going to go find something I love. I'm going to go like chase a dream. I'm not even sure what the dream is yet. I want to live. I want laughter lines on my face. I want loss. I want scrape my knees. I want to live like a Hemingway novel instead of just reading one. And they just looked at me with these glazed eyes, thinking what he'd already said to me, I'm sure. And then before that, they were all wanting to come with me to get lunch. It was 11 o'clock. They were all coming to take an early lunch. And then I said all this thing and they were like, oh. And then they all just left. And I was immediately by myself. And I was like, oh, all right. They were supposedly my friends. I mean, I knew they weren't, but. And then I walked down the street and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm in so much shock. And I had the most amazing phenomenon. I looked around and just that morning I was walking to work and I didn't even see anything. I lived right by the office and I'd walk there just miserable. And I was so in my own head, I didn't see anything. And I'm walking around these same streets in this like jittery shock and everything looks amazing. I saw a guy painting a building. I was like, I love painting. That looks incredibly fun. Maybe I could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I could paint a building. And then I look down and there's a dude cutting hair in a barbershop. I was like, I love getting my hair cut. There's like a thing when guys get their hair cut. It's like a dude therapy. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, I love getting my hair cut. I love talking to people. I quite like, maybe I could be a barber. Man, that sounds amazing. And then a taxi drive past. I'm like, man, I love driving. I love talking to people. I could be a taxi driver. Things I'd never looked at because you got to be the best. You got to excel. I got to this really fancy school. I got a scholarship to like an amazingly fancy school. And they drill into you from a young age. You got to be the best. Optima petite. Aim for the highest. Terpe nescire. It's a disgrace to be ignorant. These like elitist kind of. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great thing. You should aim for the highest. It is a disgrace to be ignorant. But to not be allowed to explore that which you're naturally interested in. What I've realized as I've got a lot older is you can make money doing anything. Fuck, if I can make money doing music, you can make money doing anything. And I realized like that money has a price, and I've just been paying a lot of money. I've been paying a lot of price for that money. I've been paying my whole time. I've been paying my health. I've been paying my well-being. I've been paying all my dreams because I had dreams. I didn't know what they were because they were so submerged at that point, but I did have them. And they became revealed within 20 minutes of quitting the job. The whole time I'd sat there, I was like, but what would I do if I left? For a year and a half, 2 years, I'm sitting there like, but what would I do if I left? I have no game plan. And I'd write on my thing and I'd look on the internet, how much does a fashion designer make? Because I thought I'd like to do women's clothes. Love dressing women. I thought, oh, that'd be cool. And not that much. Okay, how much does a fighter pilot make? Oh, it's not gonna. It was all like fractions of what I was making. I was like, I can't do that. I can't work this hard and then it's got to be something bigger. So I left with no idea what I'd do. I thought maybe I'd start my own company or maybe start a hedge fund or maybe just fuck around and then end up back in the bank. Or 20 minutes after leaving, after walking down the street, finding everything amazing, I see this piano in a thrift shop. Old on Brick Lane. This old like vintage shop. It's got a knackered old piano in there. And I was like, God, that's what I need. Because I'm shell shocked. I need to sit down and have a minute. And I walk into this, there's nobody in the shop. I walk in and I sit down in this musty old shop. I start playing a few notes, close my eyes. I'm like, the shoulders just drop. I'm like, oh yeah. And as I'm in my zone, this voice interrupts. And it's a big burly guy. He says, if you want to play that, you got to buy it. Really unfriendly. East London hospitality. You want to buy that, you got to play it, you got to buy it. Get out. You slay. And I was like, well, how much is it? 100 quid. All right, I'll do it. Why not? I mean, I've got no income anymore, but fuck it. I bought this piano and then he's like, right, you got to take it outside. I'm like, hold on a minute. I'm thinking this too. I lived in this really expensive penthouse, which I no longer could afford. And I was like, well, I'm definitely going to be moving out of that penthouse. I can't get a piano there. What am I going to do with the piano? And he's like, I don't know. We'll fucking put it in the street. So I pulled it out. It's now in front of this thrift shop. I thought, all right, well, I'll just play it. And when I've had enough, I'll try and sell it in back. Worst comes to worst, £100. I'm a free man now, whatever. I start playing this piano and I become instantly petrified. I'm physically nervous. My hands are freezing up. I'm so my whole body's like going stiff. I feel sick. I feel disorientated. I'm getting tunnel vision. I'm seeing black spots. I think I'm going to pass out. What the fuck is going on? And I pull up my collar and I pull down my hat and I close my eyes and I just play. And I'm trying to like self-therapy with the music out of this feeling, whatever it is. And I start to kind of get into it a little bit. Oh, then I kind of get into it again. Oh, hold on. This is nice. Oh, I'm loving it. Oh, yeah. I'm finding this magic. Eyes closed, hunched over, light breeze under the fingers. Like, oh, yeah, this is, oh, my God. And then I become very aware. You have a sixth sense when you're from Yorkshire. In fact, probably as a girl, you have this sixth sense anyway, which is this feeling that someone's looking at me. Don't have that too much as a boy. But in Yorkshire, it's like, am I going to get mugged? Is basically the feeling. Is someone scoping me out? And I had that feeling. I was like, someone's looking at me. And I'm playing this song and I'm like, well, they've not done anything yet. So if they're going to do something, they're probably waiting for me to finish this song. And I was like, well, and I get nervous again. I'm like, and I'm listening. I'm like, the street is so quiet. I can hear my music, but I can hear there's no foot traffic or anything. And I'm like, crap, like there's no witnesses. This ain't good. And I'm suddenly become aware I'm sitting there with my Hermes tie, my Prada suit, my Rolex looking like a mug. I'm like, oh no. Oh, this is a stupid idea. And 20 minutes after I left the bank, oh God, here we go. And so I did something which is accidentally one of the best things I ever did. I played up the piano really fast and then punched the bottom of the piano to be intimidating and rapidly turned around like this, like, let's go. And I spin around and there's like 600 people all standing in total silence like this. And you could hear a pin drop. It was still to this day one of the most mystical moments of my life. No one clapped. No one said anything. And I just, out of not just years and years and years of what am I going to do in my life, came out in overwhelming tears. I'd only cried once in my life, which was when my dad died at the funeral. And I kind of made myself cry because I felt guilty that I actually couldn't cry. And somehow with the pressure of it all, I made myself cry. But I'm not naturally somebody who can cry. And this was the first time I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop it coming out. It was convulsive. I was convulsively, like whatever this was, it was overwhelming. And all these people came up. They're hugging me. They want to take pictures with me, which is why. Why do you want a picture with me? What are you going to do with it? Will you sign this? Sign it. What the fuck? Yeah. Why? What are you going to do with that? And they'd start telling me these stories and something about, it was obvious that I was going through a moment. And these people came and told me stories. A lady had just lost her mother and she like found something in the song and she was all upset. A guy came up to me, he was an Italian writer and he'd written a book, a fictitious book, and he felt that I was a character in this book, and which ended up being trippy because he told me about that. I ended up going on a tour around Italy doing 21 shows with this guy because he read me the story and it was literally my life. The most insane, like actually insane. And this was one song. And in the nervousness of not knowing what to do, I took off a flat cap, I threw it on the floor, and it piled up with money. And I look at the money, and I look at the people, and I look at the piano, and I go, hold on a minute. And I think about that guy on the beach. The busker that I had seen who'd been, and I was like, oh my God, it's only 2 weeks later. It's only 2 weeks later. Oh my God, I just did it. I just did it. Accidentally, not thinking about it. Oh my God. It took like an hour for everyone to leave. I pick up this hat. I go across the street, 8 yards into a coffee shop. I sit down and count it. £16.34 and a krona. The best money I've made in my life. I will never, ever, ever forget this. The best money I ever made. I paid for a coffee and I was like, you're giving me this coffee. I said before, money's got a price. When I was in investment banking, the price I paid for my money was all of my happiness, total misery, no friends, no good relationships, no good sleep, my health. And now I'd just been out. I played piano in the street. I'd done the thing I love the most, the thing that I've been quietly doing my entire life since a kid. Scared. I used to wait for my parents to leave home because I was so nervous that they would hear me. so shy my whole life, and I've just done the thing that means the most to me, and now I'm getting free money. I feel guilty to be getting paid for this, and you're giving me a coffee, and I just give you this stuff, and I can go out there and play another song, and maybe I'll make more. I don't, and I got this coffee. I felt so weird about the money. I gave him the whole money. It's like £2. I gave him like the 16.34, and I was like, all right. And I went out and I played another song, and I did the same thing. The hat filled up again, and I was like, what the hell is going on? What the heck is this? It's magic money. It's magic beans. What the heck?
Yeah.
I feel like the Pied Piper of money. I play this thing, but weirdly, after spending my life thinking about money, really since my dad died, he was the breadwinner. And when he died, my mum sat me down and basically told me we're poor. There's no more hot water. Well, she told me we're poor. And I was like, all right. And then I went upstairs to have a shower, and she's like, no, you don't get it. You don't get this. Like, there's no hot water. There's no heating. There's no, like, we're poor now. And I was like, oh. I never really realized, I didn't know anything about our financial situation before that. They never discussed it with me. I never asked about it. We never knew about it. But I was like, wow. And so I'd been trying to solve that problem since I was 15. My mum has a problem. I need to solve it. I'd done a lot of things. I had a lot of hustly jobs. Some of them not like illegal. I'd done a lot of questionable things. Not like drugs or anything, just, you know, wheeling and dealing and I can go into that. I'll tell you, but it's by the by. I just, weirdly, I just stopped thinking about money, and I spent the whole day playing. I get the coins. I didn't know what to do with them, because if I go and spend this, I've got to stop playing the piano, and I want to play the piano a lot more than I want to spend that money. There's nothing I want. What do I want? There's nothing I want. And I couldn't stop playing. I played until 1 a.m. I did go back into the vintage shop, and I bought a vintage mulberry bag for £110. What a deal. And by the end of the day, it was all full of coins, could barely lift the thing. And I go back to my penthouse, and it's like I've gone into the movie set of some character that I'm not. I'm like, what even is this house? What's this bullshit? What's this pretentious, fake everything here? The stupid Prada shoes and what's all this shit? Who was I trying to be? Who was I trying to impress? It means nothing to me. I don't even like this stuff. And I went to bed. I sent a notice that I'm going to leave the flat. I went to bed. I couldn't wait to wake up. And now, instead of like my usual misery, all I could think about was, I've got to get to that piano before the police move it. And I woke up at 5:45 naturally, instantly put on some clothes, went to this piano, played a song. Then the council came, because there's like noise rules I didn't realize about. You got to wait till 8 a.m. 8 a.m, played again till 1 a.m. And I did that every single day without missing a day for the next 9 months. And I continued to do it, by the way, many months after that, but daily, with not a single break, from first thing in the morning till 1 at night. The same schedule as banking, if anything more intense, because I often had to move these pianos around. Never felt tired. All the hair grew back. Never been healthier. Frequently gave the money away. Never counted it. Never thought about anything. Brother needed money, gave him suitcases full of money. I'd achieved something that I'd just a couple of weeks before. I was so jealous of this. In Russian, they have a concept called white jealousy. It's like admiration to such a high degree that you start invalidating yourself. And had all that. And that was it. That was my journey. And that's how it started. And then I played and I played and I played. And a few days into playing, the journey was nearly over. I nearly quit. Because I still had access to my private email, and I logged into my email, and I saw this email thread with hundreds of replies on it. So by the time I see it, it's already like 356 emails on this one thread. And it's like Banker to Beggar was the title. And it was all the guys I'd worked with. Somebody had been out and took a picture of me playing in the street. And then they'd circulated this around the bank, and it had gone viral on the internal banking email. And all of these people are just ridiculing me because they look like a beggar. And I felt so small and so stupid and so like, oh, what have I done with my life? And I had this whole like, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God, I was like the guy. I was the fucking guy. Oh my God, I was prestige. Very quickly into playing in the street, I ran into like problems I'd never had as a banker. Like homeless people used to come and rob me. And some of them are pretty dangerous. And then the police would come and they'd move me along like I'm some junkie. And I've gone from being treated with all this dignity that I didn't deserve to now being treated like a criminal, which I didn't deserve. Both of them were misplaced. The respect before was completely misplaced, and the lack of respect this time was just insulting. I'm not a beggar. I've worked my entire life on this craft. Like, what are you talking about? Noise complaint. Noise. No. The bus is a noise. The shit pouring out of Starbucks is a noise. This isn't noise. This is Chopin. This is like, what are you talking about? Like, and I was learning to deal with this, and so it got really hard, really fast. Called my mum. She told me I made the biggest mistake of my life. Begged me to go and crawl back and ask for my job back. She'll now, if you talk to her, by the way, say I always believed in him. I always told him to do. And I learnt a very powerful lesson. And it was a jumping into the abyss moment. And I've said this. Now I have this school and I have people who, some of them want to go and do something similar and they think it's impossible. I'm 60. I could never be a musician. I'm like, you don't have to do it as dramatically as me, but why don't you go play in your church? Why don't you go play in your community center? Why don't you go play for your family? Why don't you just start? And then I see people dealing with this stuff. And well, what I learned, the moral of this whole story, which I've had to relearn and reaffirm myself of many times in this journey over the last 13 years now, 12 years, is if you're scared of failure, you will never succeed. And that sounds like just a pretty quote, but it's really, really true. You now sit here and read this lofty introduction, and it sounds like you're talking about somebody else. It's a bit weird to me to hear it. I'm like, wow. And I found myself many times, I found myself in a position where like I'm about to go on stage and somebody gives me this, ladies and gentlemen, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a, or I found myself, I'll sometimes look at pictures from the concert. I recently did Monaco Yacht Week, fucking Monaco Yacht Week. And I'm like, the official thing, and it's Prince Albert's party and nuts for all these like fancy people. I'm playing with Jason Derulo and Les Twins, this dance group that I love on Instagram. They were like his backup dancers. That's so cool. And all these like really famous people are playing there. And we're in the same green room, and I'm like sitting there, and I looked in the mirror as I'm putting on my clothes, and Jason Derulo's behind me, and I'm like, this is wild. Like, what is going on? So call that what you want. It's relative success. There's still so much further I want to go, but it's relative success. But I had to go through a lot of failure to accomplish that. And if I was scared of the failure, I would never make it there. The fear of failure was what got me in banking. I wasted my first 22 years of my life with fear of failure. That's what kept me going for the next GCSE, the next A-level, the next university degree. Because if you don't, you're going to be a failure and you're going to be destitute and you're going to be poverty and you're going to have to work down there and you'll be cleaning toilets. And I hated cleaning. I had a job cleaning toilets. I hated it. It's not my thing. Well, if you don't work hard at school, that's what's okay. I'll work hard at school, and I'm studying shit I give less of a fuck about, and fear. Look in the media, fear, and surrounded by people on benefits. You know, when I was growing up, 70% unemployment in my little area. My dad telling me stories about when he, you know, I'm surrounded by it. I see it. I see the poverty. I see the drug addicts. I see the there's no dignity in poverty at all. I don't want that. But equally, there's much less dignity in pretended success and this bullshit thing that I was doing before. But now I'm in the streets and I don't know what it's going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. And now I'm having all these issues, and I've seen this email and I'm getting all these problems from police, and cocktailed with like every 5 minutes, having like 300, 400, 500 people stopping and treating me like Mick Jagger. This dichotomy of like feeling so valuable, feeling like I'm actually doing something for the world. I'm actually contributing something that people find valuable. And then immediately after, like this disparate introversion. And that was a process. But if I wasn't willing to go through failing, I would never achieve anything like success. If you're not willing to be poor, you'll never be rich, because you will take this safety net thing instead of going through the hard work of building a company and losing money year after year after year after year to eventually then go, oh, wow, look at that. It worked out. And, but if you can't tolerate being poor, you'll never be rich. It's an ironic thing. And what I found most ironically is the area where you can tolerate failure the least are those areas which you care about the most. Your real dream. That's the one thing I can't fail at. I'll fail at banking, so I don't give a fuck. I never felt scared in banking. You know why? Because win or lose, it's all the same. I don't give a shit, and there's some safety in that. I felt petrified when I was in the street because I gave a shit. It means something to me, and failure at this, even though I'm just playing piano at the street, music is it means so much to me. It's been so much to me. This has been my life. I've lived in like an aesthetic universe for hours and hours and hours at a time. It's my solace. And I don't want to find out that I'm shit. I don't want to find out that I was stupid this whole time. I don't want to find out that I'm not as good as I feel like I can be in some of these magic moments. I don't want to find out that I'm so petrified. And that was the fear in the street. And ironically, that's the thing I want to be successful at the most. And it's so easy to go and do something else for a while. And one day, and then your life passes you by. And then you're like my dad dying on the floor with your son holding you for 3 minutes while you try and fight for your life. That's the story we're all going to have. That moment's coming. And when you get those flashes to look back, were you courageous? Were you fearful? Did you do it anyway? And the ironic thing is, if you can overcome that fear, if you can just, it's not even about a fear. It's just, can you tolerate it? Can you tolerate failing at the thing you care about the most? Because you already are doing. If you're not doing it, you're already failing. The most miserable failure, because that kind of failure, you have no hope of success. Showing up in the bank, there's no hope of making it. At least in the street, I've got a shot. And Brick Lane, 120,000 people a day going down Brick Lane. It's 5 Madison Square Gardens. Even the Rolling Stones don't do 5 Madison Square Gardens. And so that's been the journey. It's still a journey. I'm still on it. It's very much a half-finished novel. And I kind of omitted the 10 years after that point, but I'm just aware that I've talked nonstop for like 40 minutes.
No, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable and honest, because it's like you said at the beginning, it's easy to look at people sometimes doing all these cool things and think, oh, cool for them, I guess, but I'm here and I'm doing what I'm doing. I could never get there. But for you being so honest and actually sharing from A to now to Z, not Z because it's not finished, but Thank you so much. And the whole thing you said with fear and courage is so true, and something we really preach as well, is having courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing something, knowing you're fearful of it, but doing it anyway. Right. That's courage.
Right.
It's not having fear.
Right.
And something that we say too at FLC is fear is usually in the anticipation of the action, not in the action itself. Yeah. The thinking of what if, over and over and over. Yeah. That's where the fear is, not in the actual action. You're not scared of taking the action. You're scared of the anticipation and the action. So everything you just said then is so true.
That is, by the way. I used to get bullied all the time as a kid. I got really badly bullied. And I was, my dad was a very aggressive man, very scary man. Everyone was scared of my dad. He was a physically violent individual, and he used to get asked, he'd do favors for people. And in his younger years, before I was ever alive, he was working for some pretty dodgy people who, like, the police won't do anything. Can you please? And he'd tell me these stories, and it was like a fairy tale. He's telling me this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And I saw this dark side in him all the time. Like when he got mad, you can tell he's restraining himself from killing someone. Like this guy, and sometimes I'm on the receiving end of that, and I'm like, oh my God, this, which has done me no harm, by the way. There's no like little fiddle here. Actually, this is controversial, but it was very good for me. But I was very scared that I might be like him when I get old. I didn't want to have that trait. And then I found myself getting bullied a lot at school. And my dad's opinion on what you do with a bully is just destroy them. Like anything goes, kill them, gut them, skin them, like anything goes. And I was scared to fight. One, in case, like, I didn't want to harm them. So I'm like scared. I'm sort of scared if I lose, and I'm even more scared if I win. And, but it was always the anticipation of fighting. What you just said is true, because I was constantly getting picked on and punched around, and I had my head flushed in toilets and stupid stuff, and people peeing in a bottle and throwing it on me, just like gross shit, right? All boys school, go figure it out. And because there again, I'm the kid from the village, and they're all from the same, and I had funny teeth and whatever. I did myself no favors. I had like a poetry book, and then somebody found it one day, and I was just, oh god, I was miserable.
Not your fault.
And then I had a nickname, MC Beaver, because I had big teeth.
Oh no.
There were all these little raps. I'd got really impressioned by 8 Mile, and then I thought, oh god, and it was anyway. But this one day, I get in a fight, and this guy breaks my nose, and it was so liberating because I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And from that point, I had no problem. And then I went through a scrappy phase. I broke my nose quite a number of times now. Not fighting, just twice fighting, but 5 times, once on a horse. Random stories, but now I'm like, I'm not scared of that. Oh, that's cool. You go skiing, you fall down, you're not scared of falling down. Same with music. Like scariest thing in the world is put a piano in the street and play. Scariest thing in the world. But after that, a stage show where people showed up and they bought ticket. Like, come on, that's easzy.
Yeah.
I had to stop David, who's going for the number 66 bus.
Yeah.
If I can stop David, I can definitely give you a good time. Like,
yeah.
So I think that's really true what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that with everything. Like I do sales, and that I still get the fear of picking up that phone and calling someone. But actually, once I do and they pick up, I'm not scared at all. No matter what they say, it's not scary. It's in the anticipation of picking that up. So yeah, and you so rightly said that in what you said too. And something else that we talk about a lot, and you mentioned, is people are so okay with spending 40 years in a 9-to-5, which they're meant to do. You're meant to go to school, graduate. You're meant to do this 9-to-5 until, like you said, and then what? You retire and you have 5 years of life and then you die. But they see the point in that, but they don't see the point in spending 4 years in their dream, something that can actually give them a life they want. Spending all your life in this corporate job that you're told you're meant to do versus spending all your life working towards your dream. Somehow this doesn't feel worth it and this does, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
So
my friend came down yesterday, and he's an amazing cook, and we were cooking a rotisserie chicken together and roast potatoes, and we had a great old time. And then afterwards we went for a sauna at like midnight, and we're sitting in the sauna at midnight, and he told me, you know, he has a dream. Maybe I'm not going to go into specifics, but he has a dream, but he's got a house and the family, and he's like, you know, I can't do this. Like, you know, I'm too old. I can't do it. It's too late. But I've known this guy 10 years. He's been saying this to me for 10 years. And I said to him, look, that ain't a house. It's a prison, because you do have a dream and you know what it is. And that dream is a gift. And you're doing everything but that. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you have a gift of a dream. You have this, like, what are you doing? For a house that you sit unhappily in, thinking about your dream, that's not a house, it's a prison. And you've done 15 to life at this point. So you're released. Like, and I come from that culture. I come from a place where you were lucky to have a job. And I understand that. And especially, look, it's tough. It's easy. Like, I hear it all. Oh, it's easy for you. You play piano. Oh, it's easy for you. All right. I mean, all right. But when I quit that job, I was half deaf. I couldn't sing at all. I was below average at piano. Certainly not like what now, because I've just practiced all day, every day for over a decade. I played a lot before, but now I really like play. And I'm like, yeah, all right, there's a million reasons why you shouldn't. And it's up to you. If you want to go with that one, then sure. But what's the result of that idea? And maybe my idea is wrong or right. I don't know, but give it a shot, and you can always go back to the shitty life you don't like. Yeah. That option's always going to be there. There's always going to be a shitty job you don't want. Yeah. That's always going to be an option. But you have a beautiful moment here, and the other aspect of that, by the way, the other polar extreme of working the job you don't like is the crypto, got to get rich quick, bullshit, scammy.
Oh yeah.
And that again is a fearful thing. That's like, I can't actually lean into my dream. So I'm going to do some nonsensical trading hard-earned money that I've worked hard to get for essentially something that only has a value if somebody else is willing to buy it. It's a nothingness. There's no product. It doesn't deliver an exchange. You know, they all like to say there is, oh yeah, you know, crypto, it can do this and that and that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not what you pay for. Like, I don't receive a service when I buy an Ethereum. It doesn't do the service. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to go into a big thing on crypto. I seen a lot of friends lose a lot of money on it. And I'm like, yeah, it was a fearful move. That wasn't your dream. Your dream wasn't to be some crypto flipper. Your dream was to be a chef, and your dream was to be a dancer, and you wanted to be a tailor.
Yeah.
And that money that you just threw into crypto because you're too scared to put it into your dream is now gone. And which doesn't matter, because you can start that dream with zero. Every dream you can start with zero.
Absolutely.
When I left banking, by the way, I lost all my money like 2 weeks before on a stupid thing. I did a spread bet trading thing and lost all my money. I left the bank with nil, no safety net, nothing. And I promise you, dreams are born in that kind of situation. And people want to be safe before they experience. You want to experience, empty your pockets and decide. Just do it. And you're never going to be tired. You're not going to have all these physical things going on, and your mouth ulcers and your Crohn's disease and these are indulgences of people who are just, I'll have this problem, I'll have this problem. I'm not saying that the physical things don't exist. I'm saying that psychosomatic illness is huge. And I had it. I went through all of this. I constantly, growing up, had some autoimmune thing and different things until I was just so in the game of doing what I'm doing that if it was there, I didn't have attention on it anymore. I was so driven and enthused by my daily activity. I just didn't think about it. And then maybe I had it and maybe I didn't. I don't know. I just wasn't aware of it anymore because I was so distracted by something so much more glorious.
Yeah.
And I had much better problems now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you face much rejection in this new journey that you've gone on? And how did that change, or how did your attitude towards facing rejection and facing maybe these failures, how did your attitude change with that because you were doing something you loved?
Okay, these are good questions. I had the defining feature of my life is rejection and failure. It's just the good thing about failure is it's very quiet. Nobody sees it. Like if I put out a post on social media that fails, what does that mean? It means it got low views. It means nobody saw it. So failure is kind of quiet. I had some Russian #1 hits a few years ago. Terrible songs. Terrible, truly awful songs. Nobody knows about that. Until I told you wouldn't know.
Yep.
Even though they were like big hits in Russia, but luckily I could get on a plane and nobody had heard them. These are mortifyingly terrible music. Because again, I was scared, and a guy offered me a record deal, and all right, okay, and we'll sing this song. Well, I kind of know it's shit, but all right. And now it's fucking #1 everywhere, and every McDonald's I go in, I've got to sing it, and I'm like, God, this is terrible. And it's just like, oh my God,
So
and and truly, it was trash. But all of these failures make you unfuckwithable. I'm just not soft anymore because I've been through it, and I look at. I've now become, man, it's funny how life goes. I was in the bank and I was like the side bitch to the guy. And now the guy invites me to go on his vacation to play an amazing show, and they want to hang out. And I've managed to like make sincere friendships with people who I have so much admiration for their accomplishment. So much like world changing people, artists, businessmen, entrepreneurs, world leaders. Absolutely amazing. And they've all been forged in the most arid of soil. I'm really, really nervous. You know, this is not I'm not proud about this, but every now and then I like a cigar. I know it's gross. But I do. And I went to Cuba last year.
Oh yeah.
And I went to this Cohiba factory. Cohiba is like the Rolls Royce of cigars.
Okay.
And they'd arranged me this like private tour, and it was all very fancy and amazing. And the CEO of Cohiba came, and then the quality director came, and we walked around this factory. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And And then we're sitting having a cigar, and it's called the Behike, real expensive cigar, like $500 cigar. Which I know is crazy. You're literally burning it. I know I'm really not promoting this. You shouldn't smoke. It's terrible for your health. Like, I know everything. This is stupid. Like, but like, I don't have many bad habits. This is just a very occasional one. And
Fine. Life's about balance.
and I said to him, I was like, so I all I'm thinking was like my bullshit wine knowledge. So I was like, you need good soil, good weather, all that thing. So when I was flying into Cuba, it's like not pretty, and the soil's like pretty arid and terrible. I was like, so where do you grow this, finest cigars in the world? Where do you grow them? Is there like some place with nice soil on the island? He's like, no. The best cigars grow in the worst soil. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, because only the strong plants survive. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa. And then the price of that strong plant, the top leaf, is the most expensive bit. Why? Because it's had to survive so much beating by the sun that most plants don't survive. And if it does survive at the top, it has to summon so much nutrient and tar, so much courage, so much strength to survive that it becomes very rare. And that top leaf was what was in the Behike cigar I was smoking. And I was like, that is the metaphor of my life. I've had the most embarrassing, emphatic rejection over and over and over and over. You want to know the first show I ever did?
Yes.
So I go to this all boys school, right? I come from a village where there's no children other than me. Mm-hmm. So I've basically not really spent any time around a girl. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like coming of age, 13, 14, and I want to meet a girl, like real bad. And I am horny. And like, seriously. And I'm in this all boys school, and everything's looking good. I'm like, I need to meet a woman, and I'll take anything.
Any woman.
Literally, that was my list. What are you looking for? I'm like, female. That's my item. And down the street, down an alley, which is literally called Shag Alley, is the girls' school. And then when you had a girlfriend at that girls' school, you would meet on Shag Alley after school and make out for like 15 minutes. And I never had a girlfriend because I wasn't one of the cool kids. And I was nervous, and I would then go up to a girl because you're supposed to like just cross each other and then like walk up and say something. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, so I was just shy, and I'd pretend I'm doing something else. I was just so embarrassing. And I would go home, and then I would put on songs, and I'd dance in front of my mirror to these songs, imagining that I was singing to the girls' school assembly. And I'd imagine them going wild like a Rolling Stones concert. And it was so pathetic. And I've been doing this for years. And I'd like dance on my bed. And I was too old to be doing this. I'm like 13, 14, 15. Like, I was a very innocent like kid. At the same time as really not being. But weird. Anyway. And then eventually I'm 17. That's right. And it's the second show. The first ever performance at my dad's funeral. The second ever show was at this girls' school. I don't really remember the first performance. It was all a blur. The second performance is I get asked when I'm 17 to go and play in the girls' school. I'm like, this is it. This is my moment. Wow. I am going to go get a girlfriend. I am so ready. And I practiced this song, I want to say maybe 2,000 times, all night long for 2 weeks. I'd skip class to go to music, the music department. I played it and played it and played it and played it. David Gray, Meet Me on the Other Side. Meet me on the other side. And I couldn't sing for shit. But I was like doing an impression of how he sings. He's got this really gravelly voice. Meet me on the... And I was singing like that. Terrible. And I show up at this assembly, and I'm like, look, there's 1,700 girls here. I need one. I'm just going for one. I don't care who it is. Like, I don't care age. I don't care location. I don't care height. I don't care shape. I don't care anything. Like, female. Like, I'm so ready. You have no idea. Like, I need a girlfriend. And I go to this assembly, and right before I'm about to go on stage, I I am nervous like you've never seen nervous. I am physically like this, and I wear this light grey uniform. This school's been around for like 1,000 years. It's this light grey with like short shorts and pathetic uniform. And I go out there and I sit down on the piano and the room is silent. And I walk out, I can smell the estrogen. I can smell that teenage girl smell of like, oh my God, there's so many women here. I've never been around women like I'm like this. I'm out my comfort zone. This is not okay. This is not okay. Like this is not okay. Oh, okay. Well, I feel so ugly and so looked at and so like, oh, every insecurity I've got is like blown up to a million. And I sit down on the piano and I swear to God, it's like I've never seen a piano before. I look at the keys. I don't know what to do with any of them. I don't know anything. I can't remember the song. I can't remember a lyric. I don't know anything. And the room's silent and they're waiting for me to play. And again, I've had an introduction because I'd won the music prize. And so our music prize winners, blah, blah, which was a lofty introduction back then. And I'm sitting there and I don't know what to do. I started playing some notes. I peed myself, uncontrollably peed, the longest pee I've done in my life. I so didn't know what to do. I just kept playing. The sound of the pitter-patter on the hollow wooden stage of this school. And still mid-peeing, I just stopped the song, stood up, bowed, and walked off, dripping out my leg all this pee with a big grey thing. And
Of course it's grey.
Yeah. And then I was studying politics, was one of the subjects I was doing, and that was like a mixed class at that age. It became mixed at 17. And the head girl who I had such a crush on, called Chandra, if you're watching, and she came up to me and she was like, I really loved your performance this morning. And that was so mortifying. It was so mortifying. I'm like, I know that was shit. I pissed myself. I didn't play a note. I didn't. And you're so nice. You're so nice. And I'm so unworthy. And it's so embarrassing you're even doing this. So from the very beginning of my musical journey, I've had nothing but failure and rejection. And I have 100 stories like that, more. I have failed so much. I've made such stupid mistakes so many times. But the result of that is I sit here now with a very, very, very rich, voluminous novel of a life. And I'm not even halfway through it. And I've lived more than generations of my family lived because of that. I've not been playing defense. I did the first 22 years. Something snapped, something changed. I've been a profoundly different person since then. And everything to me is a good story. Like that. Worst moment of my life at the time, great story now. I've lost all my money 3 times. Just a good story. Every one of them. I've been kidnapped in Brazil. And held at gunpoint for 2 weeks. I've been robbed by the Russian mafia. I've been defrauded twice. I've had shitty deals, everything you can imagine, and everything in between. Threw myself into a relationship, get cheated on. I've done a lot of things, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I've always found that in all of those fuck ups, in some way, I was the cause point. There's always some element of like, I abandoned some responsibility at some point, and that's what led to it. So I'm not saying I was a victim of anything. It's just I was very stupid and naive, and I'd had no practice at making decisions, so I didn't make very good ones. Because as a child, my dad made my decisions, and then I kind of just went along with the plan. And I'd had no practice. So, of course, many of the first decisions I made were utterly terrible.
Yeah.
And I tend to find that's unanimously true. It's just I've not got that thing anymore where I worry about it. It just doesn't mean anything to me. Failure to me is just like, I mean, it's just nothing. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean it's not painful. But I don't wallow in it for a second. I'm like, the next day I know what needs to be done. I need to regroup. I need to look at that. What went wrong? What can I take responsibility for? Where can I find my cause point? It was me that did this. Let me go and find. And again, I might be wrong with that, but that viewpoint leads to a solution. So let me adopt it anyway. It's always worked out. Let me find what I could have done. How did I cause this? What did I do to bring this about? How could I be so glib? How could I operate at such risk? How could I allow, you know, even people burning you? How could I be such a bad judge of character? What is it that I did wrong there? And I'll hold myself to a standard that is, I hate people who are like, oh, you got to love yourself and blah, 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 blah. No, you should hold yourself to the absolute highest standard and act accordingly. You should be somebody you admire. You should do things you think are admirable, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's how you admire yourself. You don't do it by sitting there and going, Om Namah Shiva, I love myself, I love myself. It just doesn't work. You're self-hypnotizing, but it doesn't work. You know deep down it's bullshit. And I tried that too. That was another stupid decision. I flirted with Buddhism for a year, and which is nothing against Buddhism. It's not against that at all. I've got a lot of friends that are Buddhists, but it was bullshit for me, because what I was trying to get out of it is not what that provides.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of it confidence. Confidence comes from the Latin word confidere, which means full trust in. You achieve confidence when you genuinely have trust in something. I have confidence that this chair holds me. Why? Because I've sat in it a few times now. I don't have confidence in myself. Why? Because I've never tested that rope. That guy's not been out there yet. And I can bullshit along and I'm a banker, I'm so successful, but I know I'm a little bitch. I know I don't know how to survive. But now, after all this failure, I am unfuckwithable. I am unfuckwithable. The things that I have got to, you can't fuck with me. You can't bullshit me. You can't fuck with this guy anymore. You just can't fuck with me. That's confidence.
That's confidence. Yeah, definitely. And the only way you can truly change your ways and change your life is self-responsibility and holding yourself accountable. 100%. And yeah, clapping for yourself when you do well, but holding yourself accountable when you make mistakes. And by the way, the most successful people that everyone looks up to, they have made mistakes. They have tried things and failed and made mistakes and failed and made mistakes again. And that's why they're there. And that's why they've got to where they are and why they have become unfuckwithable. Is that the word?
It is. It's the word.
I love that word.
I've to back that up, I've met now probably something like 400, 500 billionaire, super successful guys. I started doing a book when my career started taking off. People started flying me out business class, and I felt like, oh my God, what have I done to be in business class? And then it became first class, and I was like, oh my God. And I would look around, and I'd look at everybody else, and I'm like, what did you do to get in here? Like, what are you guys doing to make sense of paying 20 grand for a chair? Like, what is going on? Like, this is a chair, but suddenly you put it on a plane and it's worth 20 grand. What does that mean? And I would be like, what have you guys done? Doesn't make sense to me. And so I started talking to people, and then I wrote all these questions, and then I asked everybody the same questions, and I started compiling the answers. And I'm going to release this in a couple of years. It's going to be called Wise Words and Lessons from the Most Successful People I Ever Met. And some of them, it started out as, I want it to be called Lessons from First Class. But then I met more interesting people, and I found that people in first class are pretty linear, because there's a demographic. It's a particular kind of person that finds himself paying 20 grand for a plane ticket. Not necessarily the most successful people. So then I was going out talking to shamans. I'm talking to like people who work in charity and donate all of their time, effort, and energy to making the world a better place. And then some billionaires and a couple of presidents and some royals. And one thing I found with the billionaires, which is a very interesting thing to ask in these questions, I have not met a single billionaire that was where they wanted to be at some arbitrary age. They all fell behind their friends. They've had humiliating defeats, and they've weathered it, and they've become their own shade of unfuckwithable. Not all of them have been bankrupt, but a very large proportion have been like destitute poverty. And after you hear the same story over and over and over again, you start thinking, all right, they're just not bothered by it. That's the difference. They're willing. I always remember this documentary with Simon Cowell. And he's talking about how he lost all his money before he made the X Factor. He's like, yeah, I had £20 to my name. It's the only £20 I had. So I had to take a taxi back to my house because I had to move with my parents. And all I could think was, you took a taxi? You only had 20 quid and you spent 20 quid in a taxi? What kind of confidence is that? Because if I had 20 quid, I'd ration it out for the next 3 months. Yeah. I'd be living on a bean. I know, because I've done that. Like, I lived on £1 a day for 2.5 years. You had 20 quid and you spent it on a taxi. That's a mindset. That's the guy that goes and builds X Factor. He's not bothered about what he's got. He's thinking about where he can go. And he'll throw away what he's got just to have a shot. And that's how you don't get stuck holding on to little things. if I'm just holding this cup, let's say this is a bad relationship. I'm not happy in the relationship. She beats me. Oh, but I don't want to be single again. I fucking hate being single. Oh my God. I mean, she might be like the prettiest and most nice girl I could get. Well, I don't know. Yeah, but she really does beat me and she's cheating on me. And but I probably couldn't do any better. And I don't want to be single. I was single so long. And I don't know. I probably can do. The point is this: as long as I'm holding on to this cup, I can never go get anything else. But to go get something else, I've got to be willing to have my hand empty for a while. And it's scary when you've got a cup, even if you don't like the cup, to have nothing. My buddy with his house, he's got his house. He don't want his house. He wants to live his dream, but he has to remove the house from his hands. He asked me yesterday, what do you think I should do? And I was like, you need to lose the house. He's like, what? I know, it's unthinkable. Well, as long as you're holding on to that, you can never grab anything else, unfortunately. But Simon Cowell gave his last 20 quid away to a tax. I'm like, what? And I've heard versions of that story so many times. And behind closed doors, you hear the unfiltered, non-PR, which to me, I'm like, I don't know why people don't. I've adopted a policy of extreme open honesty. Because I through this conversation, I'll learn something. And I've never really understood why these uber successful people don't do that. Maybe I'll learn that in time. Maybe this will backfire. But maybe. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. The Chabaria, the founder of FLC, often says that what usually differentiates the successful from the not yet successful is your ability to bounce back quickly. How quickly can you bounce back from a failure? And again, I say failure because I don't think there's any such thing really. You learn something, and yes, you might fail, but it's through those failures that you get to success. So how quickly can you bounce back? And that comes with doing it. Like you said, the more things happened, the quicker you can bounce back, and the more unfuckwithable you get. So 100%.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned more than anything in music, in business, and everything is the only thing that is wrong with somebody who failed. It's not an intrinsic lack of ability. It's just a misestimation of effort. You thought you were going to do it in one shot. You thought you were going to do it in 3 months. And now, because you didn't get where you wanted to go, or even you moved backwards, or you had an embarrassing setback, or whatever, you now think you failed, or there's something wrong with you, or you can't do it, and you get this crisis of confidence. I'm saying this to my students all the time in the school. I'm like, you're halfway there. If you turn around now, you've got the same distance. But if I told you at the beginning, before you started this endeavor, hey, learning is going to take you 50 years. You're 2 months in, you can play all the scales, all the chords, you're playing songs. You'd be like, oh my God, I'm a genius. Because your estimation of effort would have been wrong in the right direction. But I found, and in my own life, this is a big thing I've learned. I just thought I'd get it on the first hit. You upload a great piece of social media content and nobody watches it. You're like, God, what am I doing? This is stupid. I just didn't realize you have to upload 1,000. And if somebody had told me you have to do 1,000, I wouldn't have been even paying attention to what happened on the first one. I'd have just got that 1,000 done as fast as possible. If somebody told me that, like, oh, no, like, this thing's going to lose money until you've, like, done that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. I won't beat myself up at every tranche of failure. And I think that's the thing that's out. People who've not yet walked that walk simply don't know how much it takes to get there. But when you do know that, you're like, oh, okay. It's not scary anymore. It's just a question of doing it. And if I tell you, like, I'm not good at running. I have a really tight IT band, but I've got a friend who's really good at marathons. And I like the idea of doing this ultra marathon, but I can't run. But the thing with an ultra marathon is I know the distance and I know I can walk for a bit of it. So I'm like, well, I know the distance. And if I don't care how long it takes, I'll do it. As long as I don't stop, I'll do it. And if everything in life was like that, if you knew what it took to build a happy marriage, we'd have more successful marriages. Because people watch Hollywood movies and they think that it comes about in 2 hours. They think it's 2 dates, meet the parents, have sex a few times, and that's ha ha ha. That's not my experience.
Yeah.
Like, to me, a relationship is a created, postulated thing. It's a constant create. And you stop creating it, it ceases to be. The same with architecture and buildings. We're in this house. This house is over 1,000 years old. How come it's not fallen down? Because it was continually created. Someone kept putting it there. When we were checking into this place, we've rented it for a couple of weeks. It comes with like a house butler, and the house butler, I was like, it must be expensive to keep this going. It's like, oh, it's millions a year. That's create. Yeah, we have to fix the beams. We dig out the moat. We do the thing, the blah, blah. I was like, fuck, that's why this is still standing. It's why marriage works. It's why my mum and my dad had the most incredible relationship, but they constantly created it. And so it continued to be. And a career is in anything, any pursuit, any activity that you ever want to do, any friendship, any endeavor, it just requires create, and it costs nothing. The most amazing thing, it costs nothing. That magic beans thing. When I went and played piano in the street and they give me money, which, by the way, the same thing happens now. It's just, I mean, sometimes it's crazy. Like, they're big checks. I'm played for 30 minutes. I'm like, can't hell. Like, and it's magic money. Like I said, there's a price to money. The price of that is zero. When you lean into doing something you love, the price of the money is zero. And all it takes to succeed is your creativity. You have an unlimited amount. You can never run out of it, contrary to what all the bullshit says. There's no such thing as burning out. You can only burn out when you're trying to do something you don't want to do in the first place. If you're doing something that you love, you don't burn out. You just can't tolerate laying down and failing. If you're in something where you would accept failure, you're in the wrong thing. I have a friend who's a chef. We had a wine bar together when I was 15. That was illegal. And it was real successful. And he was making all the money. And he said, I'm going to stop this because I want to be a Michelin star chef. You get paid nothing. And he left it all to be a Michelin star chef. And when he made a Michelin star chef, that's when the restaurant's finally going to make money. He left the restaurant, he didn't sell it, he just walked out of it to go and be the bottom rug in a 2-star restaurant. And he's now currently in the 2-star, and he's going to get to 3 stars. He will so not tolerate anything other than being 3 stars. So he will get there. It's not, maybe it's in 5 years, maybe it's in 15 years. But it's unquestionable. He's going to die or he's going to get there.
It's when, not if.
And there's no other option for him. And he doesn't need to motivate himself. It's natural. It's because he's doing the thing he wants to do. And most people struggle with motivation because they're aiming at the wrong goal. Your goal as a kid was not to get rich. I've never met a kid where I'm like, what do you want to be? And they go, rich. What do you want to be? Firefighter, soldier, policeman, artist, baker, mother. It's a doingness. They're not distracted by the havingness. And then you get old, like The Little Prince says, that my favorite book. And you talk about a house and adults ask to describe it in numbers. How much is it worth? Instead of saying what color are the doors and how big are the windows. And the way kids think to me is utterly inspiring. And we were all that kid. We all intrinsically think that way before we've been socialized into this much more depletive way of thinking. And so I say this all the time. Like, if you have a motivation problem, you don't have a motivation problem. You're in the wrong game. You're just not in the right thing. If you have a commitment issue, this isn't a commitment issue. Like, because you don't need commitment to eat. You're hungry, you just go get food. If it's closed, you go to the next place. It's closed, it's closed. You pick it off a tree. That no trees, you will get food. No matter what, you always eat. You don't need motivation to do that. That's just, and most people who are struggling are making sense out of a life they don't want. And if they're truly honest with themselves, the thing they want to do is right below that. And sometimes you just got to take a step back. Take a trip for 2 weeks, quit your job, burn your life, whatever it takes. But sometimes you do that and it reveals instantly. And it was always there. And then the next thing is figure out, how do we make this work? How does this now become something I can live from? And that's a create too.
Once you're there, you'll figure it out, though. Not once you're in that.
Of course you will.
You're going to figure it out.
Yeah. And you'll flop a few times, and that's fine. Because life's long. And you can flop. You can have it. You can have failing for a few months. You can have sleeping on your mate's couch for 3 weeks if it really goes wrong. It's not a big deal. It's really not the end of the world. You can have driving Uber for a few months if you need to it's not a big fucking deal. It's really not a big deal.
Love it. I love that mindset. That's exactly what we preach as well. I love this conversation. I want to ask you about the Ridley Academy. I know I mentioned it briefly in the intro there, but can you tell us more about that? And what is it? How does it work? Please tell us more.
Yeah, look, Ridley Academy it's like layers of accidents. Because honestly, the last thing I ever thought I would be is a music teacher, because I hated learning piano. Loved piano, hated piano education. When I was little, a guy at the end of my street would babysit us. Well, me. Such a Yorkshire thing, us. This guy at the end of the street would babysit me, and my mum was working till late. My dad was working away, and I'd frequently have to go there. And his house was filthy, which I hated. I was a germaphobe. But he had one piano in that house, which he kept immaculate. And his wife, before dying, was a pianist. And somehow, out of respect for her, he kept it immaculate. And me being a germaphobe and also just been enamored by the shape and magnitude of that instrument, it's just such a that sits in a room, and he had it with the window and the light beaming on it. I was just like, oh, it's so beautiful. And he had all these dirty instruments on his walls, and he'd be like, oh, the flute takes half a day to make that, and that, and that guitar, you can make that in a day. This piano, it took him 18 months to make this. And I was like, and it's got 10,000 moving pieces and blah, blah, blah. And he was an engineer, so he was telling me about the engineering of it. And I'd sit down on this piano, and I'd hit a few notes. You feel immediately the vibration in your fingers because it's big, powerful piano. He'd have to lift me onto the seat. I remember it. And no matter what I pressed, he'd go, oh, that's wonderful. Play me another one. And I believed him, even though it's trash. And I'd close my eyes and go. And he'd go, oh, it's even better. And then accidentally every now and then I'd hit some notes that actually sounded good to me. And I go, and I'd look at my hands and I'd be like, oh, I've got to remember this, got to remember this, got to remember this, got to. I'd do it over and over and over and over and over. And he'd validate me. And then eventually, my parents took me to this fancy school, and they told my parents that I was gifted and that I should go to the Royal School of Music, which is the finest music school in the land, because I'm some prodigy. And they're very excited. And they tell everybody in the village that, oh my God, he's a prodigy. Oh, young Stephen, he's a prodigy. We always knew. And I believed them, because he's told me I'm amazing all my life. And I loved piano so much. It's all I did. I wasn't allowed to watch TV, and I didn't really want to read books at that age. So I just lived on the piano. There was no kids. It's all I had to do. And there's a lot to be said for boredom. It's very good for a child to be bored. And I went down to this Royal School of Music, and I have to do an audition. And I walk in the room, and this guy, I start playing. Oh, I don't know what to play. They didn't tell me anything. So I get there. He's like, well, what are you going to play? And I was like, what do you want me to play? He's like, well, why don't you play something you enjoy? I was like, oh, okay. And I played Titanic, the song Titanic, because my mum loved it so much. And I used to love playing for my mum, because every time, still to this day, when I play for my mum, she just becomes a different lady. And to give that joy to the woman I love the most, like that, it's just like a magic. I just love it. So I'm like, I'm going to play this song because I want to create that effect in him. And I start playing, and he interrupts me 15 seconds in. And he went, stop. That was disgusting. And I was like, what? He had a neck that was like this. That was disgusting. It's all. And I was like, what? I was just, and my whole body, I could feel all the hairs on my body lift up. And I was like, you're not sitting right. Your elbows are down. What you're doing with your wrist, you're using the wrong fingers. You're all blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so stupid. What was I thinking? Of course I'm not a fucking prodigy. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to sit. I don't know what to do with my elbows. I don't know anything. Oh my God. I didn't know how to read music and use all the squiggles and Latin and stuff. Oh, I'm so stupid. And I went from feeling very stupid to intensely, intensely angry. And I walked out, and I looked at my mom, and I was so upset. And I was like, I'm a fool. You've made a fool out of me. And my dad was so angry at me for not getting into it that he made me go around and tell all the neighbors that I've not got in. They're all, oh, did you get in? I'm like, no. And it made me want to give up on music. And then I ended up getting this local teacher. Again, same thing. She was very strict, and I went through it, and I didn't love it anymore. And I'm going through all this complexity and complication and fucking hell, it's like astrophysics. It's all in Latin and it's all Italian and symbols. It's blah, blah, blah. And this stuff's medieval. They haven't changed this in 1,000 years. Same symbols for 1,000 years. There's original manuscript in this house. I'll show it you. 1,000 years old. Same everything. I'm like, wow, it really needs an update. So last thing I ever wanted to be was a piano teacher. Love music, love musicians, respect piano teachers. Fuck that. Like, I want to be a rock star. But ever since playing in the street, people would come up to me afterwards and they would say nice, laudatory, complimentary things. And then a large proportion of people would open up about how they used to play piano, or how when they were a child they wanted to, or how it's always been a life dream. And they would ask me, have I learned, and do I teach? And after hearing this a few thousand times, I was like, I should really do that. And I was like, well, I was sitting on a wall with my friend Ollie, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it as a musician. Probably not. Very few do. At the same time, I feel like I've made it since day one, because to make a living doing what I love, to fly around the world and meet the most interesting people and be able to share beauty with cultures, I'm just amazed anybody wants me. And I love that, and I'll do it forever. I feel like I'm getting away with something. And I said, so, but I don't know if I'm not really a Bruno Mars guy. I'm not Justin Timberlake. I'm not, I'm not going to be this sort of dancing boyfriend guy. It's just not me. I started too late. I'm not, whatever. I got all these things, right? I'm sitting on this wall having a moment, and I was like, but what I love about what I do is I know I lift people up. I walk into a room, and I've done this so many times, I get like a rush from this, to walk into a room and nobody knows who I am. And I'm in the back and it's some fancy event. And I'm just there, just another nondescript guest at some fancy schmarmy thing, and everyone's in tuxedos or whatever. And at these events, people tend to be quite serious because, they're all big shots and they're all looking over the shoulder. And I feel that my job is to go there and just give light. And it's the same thing when I'm playing in the street. And I play, every time I get a fancy show, I'll normally go and play in a hospital or an orphanage or a hospice, an old people's home. Same thing. I'm going there. I have light to give. I have something that makes me feel these amazing emotions, and I know it can make you feel these amazing emotions. And that's why I'm here. It's an act of giving. And sometimes you'll pay me offensively for it. And sometimes I won't take a dime. And sometimes it's my gift, and it's my charity, and it's my work, and it's my labor, it's my love. And I said, no matter what happens as an artist, I love that I do that for the world. And I'm really proud to not just get to see the world, but to go to countries I've never heard of and contribute something, give to their culture. And what I receive back from that is like the most incredible validation. And because people can tell when you're doing it for that reason. You can't fake that. And I didn't always have that motivation. I learned that. That was one of my many mistakes. I learned it after realizing that success is very linear. It's very success where I'm the only person who benefits is incredibly unfulfilling. And if I wanted that, I should have stayed in banking. And it's bitter. It's a horrible, it's a destitute loneliness. Your life's of no consequence and you know it. And so I love being of value. And then I had this idea of, I was sitting on this wall and I was looking at all the people walking around. And I was like, Ollie, imagine if my mum could make an album. Midwife, government hospital. God, she's got some stories. Happy stories, sad stories. The babies that didn't make it, the mothers that died, the having to deliver that news. What an album. I've never heard an album like that. And I went online and I looked for one and I couldn't find one. I was like, I suddenly had this concept. Everybody has albums, the same shit. Teenage love, blah, blah, bullshit. And why is it not a song about like being a bus driver? Because I'd love to know what that's like. What's it like? You show up and no one says thank you all day long. What's it like? A song about like a really fat person who can't stop eating and they're doing this body positivity thing, but they don't really believe in it. And when they turn off the camera, they sit and they look in front of the mirror when they're eating whatever they're eating, and they go into that despair. What's that song like? We've got such a a lack of artists. We've got a lack of people that normal people that will just express themselves in music. And I know something that's amazing about music is when you express yourself with music, it all goes away. When you find the soundtrack for that feeling, it's able to leave. You're able to put it in a bottle and come back to it anytime you want. Because it's quite nice to indulge in sadness on a nice song. It's quite nice to indulge in heartbreak on a nice song, but it's horrible if you have to live in it and you can't do anything about it. And a lot of my times in my life, I dealt with those emotions in a destructive way. Go get drunk, go do stupid stuff, go get in fights. But there's a creative way to handle it, and that's music. And so the original idea of the school was never to make something big and fancy. It was to make, quite frankly, a very, very expensive product that I would give to these very wealthy people I was playing for. And because I didn't want to be a piano teacher doing like £100 an hour teaching. I don't want to do that. But for these guys, I could do something. It could be like really, really chic and luxury. And they basically got infinite budgets and they want it, but there's not really like the luxury piano experience. And so I set out to make that. And I was like, okay, well then I've got to get rid of all the hard work because they're not going to do it. They're busy and lazy and accomplished. I've got to make this really easy. And I've got to get them results really fast. And then when I've sold it to enough of these rich people, I can then like go down a rug and then go down a rug. And eventually I'll be able to, like, that's just my business mind. I just know because there's going to be costs and things. So I'm like, right, they're going to help me recoup the cost. And then when I've recouped the cost, then I'll go down and then I'll go down. And so that was the plan. And then I finished the school. It took me 9 years to build it. Tremendously difficult. Came up with a new way of learning piano. Tremendously difficult. Probably the most humbling experience in my life, because there's a reason music education has not changed for thousands of years. It's like, and I studied everything. I studied the ancient Greek way of learning music, and by the age of 11 in ancient Greece, they could play 3 instruments and speak 3 languages. So they were doing something right. And I'd look at like what they were doing, and I'd read Pythagoras and his mathematical theories of music, and I like went full geek. 9 years, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, finally get this thing, and it works. And I did trials on 49 people, and 49 out of 49 wound up playing piano. And I was like, I've cracked the fucking code, because I know how terrible music education is. This isn't terrible. There's no struggle. There's no pain. Every step of this journey is doing something you can do. And instead of doing 15 things at once and getting overwhelmed with all this theory and nonsense, I've broken it down into individual steps. Each step so mind-numbingly simple that you need about 10 minutes practice a day. Varies for people. Some people 15, some people 5. And if we just do a little and often like that, the progress is astoundingly fast, because you can master a simple thing like that, and then you go on to the next simple thing. And so you can master, whereas if you try to do all 10 at once, you'll just never get there. And I launched it. Some of these people that I was playing shows for paid me like, I launched it and I was like, oh, I've got this program. No, come and deliver it to us. Like, we're not going to, like, you come and do it for us. We'll do a weekend. And so I get booked to go and do these weekends, and they'd be like, how to write a song weekends, or like, how to unlock your creative ability. And at the end of it, everyone's going to be able to play. That's a real pressure to teach someone in 2 days. These people sometimes paid, astronomical sums of money for this. After doing that, I was like, this wasn't the dream. I'll do it. Of course I'll do it. It's a great thing to and I put that money to a good use, but it's not the dream. So I took all the money and then I sank it into ads. And COVID came and all my shows were cancelled. I had 38 show bookings. And it all got cancelled. We don't know how long it's going to last. This might be the end of me. And at that precise moment, I put all the money that I had in the world into advertising for a product I didn't know if people wanted. And then I did a live event and I sold it. And then I took all the money from selling it and put it into next week's advertising. And still to this day, the vast majority of the money we make gets poured just into expanding the school. And it's changed remarkably now. Everything changed because the purpose of it changed. The tilt of it changed. And I was like, nope, the thing I thought on the wall is what I want to achieve. I want people all over the world to be able to play piano, and I want as many people as possible. I want to create an artistic revolution in this field. It's my field. It's the thing that it's been my baby my whole life. And I want to make an army of people, and they're all over the world, and they're going to live in places that I've never even heard of. And they're going to go out into the world, and they're going to put beauty into their environment. And if everybody does that, I'm going to achieve more than I could achieve if I was Mick Jagger himself. I am going to make this world so beautiful through giving the know-how and not just making music students, but making artists, people that can express themselves with their music, people whose music transcends and moves people, that creates an emotional journey. That's what I want to do. As soon as that locked in, it's the most I've ever leaned into anything. And I just poured everything into it. And the most amazing thing is, because it had that obvious purpose, a lot of selling this is very hard, because a lot of people have failed in music and they don't believe it can be done. And then a lot of people in music education took out all this hit piece advertising where they completely destroy me and make up a load of bullshit just to sell their course at the end of it. And so I learned that business is cruel, and it's a tough old world. But if I can get somebody through the skepticism and disbelief in themselves, usually, to give it a shot, my God, this was insane. And it started with 100 students. And I was like, I remember this lady, and she had 4 kids, and she was getting beat up by her husband, and she was playing this incredible blues music about getting beat up by your husband. It's like, well, I've not heard a song like that. That's a song. And then another dude wrote a song about what's it like to work as an accountant, moving numbers around, but you don't have any money. And you deal with all this money every day, but I ain't got any money. He had a gambling addiction, and he wrote a song about it. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And these people went from just being people I would see who look like regular people. And then they have that gleam, that magic. Sometimes artists, they look like sort of superhuman a little bit. They started having that, and they dress a bit cooler, and their talk would be a bit more confident, and they'd be a bit deeper. And why? Because they'd found a way to express what was previously inexpressible, and that was making them a much more wise and deep person. And so they had more to say, and the more they play, the more they had to play. And I was like, oh, this is good. And so I leaned into it. And as you said at the beginning of this, we're now over 30,000 students in over 40 countries, 5 years old to 95 years old. It's taken on a life of its own. I then went and launched a new program very recently, My Little Baby. Within that, which is the first class version of it, which is with all this personal coaching, and I get directly involved and all that kind of stuff. I didn't need to do that. I go around the world to play shows. I don't need. I'm doing that because I love to play on stage. I will do it for the rest of my life. I love it. But there is something else, knowing what that feels like, to give that to somebody else, and then they're going to have that forever. Long after I'm dead, they're going to have that, and they can pass it down. And I'm like, oh. And before we've spoken today, I've spent all day long interviewing students from my academy, and it's the first time I've done that. We're doing these I'm going to interview them. I'm going to put it on YouTube just to show people this is their experience. I could tell you so many stories. That they've shared. This guy, the most memorable one from today, this guy Matt. He never thought he could play. Late 50s, works like a dog. No time. One day. Somehow my advertising manages to break whatever shell that was. And he comes, and then he decides to sign up in full disbelief and skepticism, and sent me a long email I just want you to know if this is all bullshit. I was like, okay, no problem. And I was talking to him today. It's just under 3 years since he joined. When he came in, he wanted to play a couple songs. And as he comes through the course, what tends to happen is when you get good at something, your goals expand. You start out on skiing, all I want to do is not die. And then by the end, you're doing heli skiing. And so he's gone through this. He's gone from someone who just wanted to play some songs to someone who could play any song he wants, to being then able to play by ear, to then going and making a social media account, to then getting millions of views on social media, to then going and doing concerts, to then going and blocking out those concerts to now like writing his own music while still doing his normal life, normal job. And he basically told me this is the greatest thing he's ever done in his life. And I know that guy. I was that guy. I was the corporate guy with the dream. He didn't need to leave his life to do that. He's happy. But that's what Ridley Academy is. It's not Mary Had a Little Lamb. It's not having to learn songs you don't want to do. It's that. It's so much more than music to me because it's what music enables you to have and experience and give to the world. And the whole course is taught with that philosophy. From day one, you are an artist. What is an artist? It's someone who works on their craft. And it starts now. So we're not going to become an artist. You're an artist. And this is what artists do. Lesson 1, let's begin. And the whole journey is that, because I'm not here to make someone who's learned by rote repetition and memorization some stale party trick. I'm here to make an artist. I'm here to make someone who can sit down on the hard days like I do and play. Last night, 2:00 in the morning, I couldn't sleep. I was having a horrible day. And I came down here and there's a piano in that next room. And I sat on that piano and I played it until the sun came up. And that is just, I'm so grateful to have that. And it, and that's what I want for people. I want them having that, and they do have it. And I see the videos, and that's music. That's the power of music. And so that's Ridley Academy, and that's why I could become passionate about it. You know, I work 7 days a week on that. Everybody in the school works 7 days a week, and the majority of the staff started out as students. They got so blown away by it that they quit their careers to come and work with it. It's one of the most valuable things I've ever done, and I'm deeply proud of it. And I still feel like I barely got started. Like, we've done all of that with just one program, and now I've just launched this second one, and that's like even deeper. And oh my God, I've barely got going. I've got so much to share. I've got so I love it. I do. It's a true passion for me.
What I wanted to say is, before we sat down here, I told you that I obviously watched your videos online and you playing or singing, and because obviously I hadn't met you in person yet, so all it was online, and the passion you play with, I could physically feel through a screen. And I was with my mum at the time, and every video I was like, look at it, look at this, and just amazing. I really want you to know that I played keyboard when I was like 5 maybe, and that's the extent of my musicality, but I could feel through that screen your passion. And sitting here right now when you're talking about the academy, I can feel your passion for this, your baby, and this academy and these people you get to help. And I think that's amazing that you experienced this joy of music and this freedom of music, and now you're passing it to other people. And I get two vibes I'm getting with the Really Academy is, one, it's not just learning this skill of music and art, which is amazing, but it's a lifestyle.
100%.
It's not just music. It's the lifestyle that comes with it. And 2, it's for anyone. I feel like you don't even really need to want to learn piano necessarily, but it's for anyone and everyone.
Yeah. The first people who bought the course were just people who followed me on Instagram. They liked me. They didn't want to play piano. Thank you very much for what you said, by the way. That was like really nice. I was also 5 years old and sucked on the piano, though.
Okay.
I sucked for a long time. I don't know that I was always passionate either, because I quit piano. The lessons sucked and I gave it up. I didn't even like it. But the passion came after my dad died, because music went from being like this hobby to an enforced hobby to then something I needed. I needed that healing power of music, whatever that is, and it was so therapeutic that I was like, whoa. And then I like got the bug, and I was like, whoa, it can be so much more. And you're right in terms of the academy. Like, look, a lot of people come on, they just want to play a song, and that's fine, or they want to learn to play piano, that's fine, because that's the minimum you're going to get. But there is an attitude towards this whole field which gives you not just a skill but a craft, not just an ability but an art, a talent. talent comes from the Greek word talentia, which means God-given. It's a gift from nature. Literal definition, gift from nature. Talentia. And people think that you either are born with that or not, but I really don't think so. I had a series of experiences that allowed me to unlock what other people describe as talent, which is hilarious because I'm the same guy who the Royal School of Music called disgusting. And I'm the same guy, incidentally, who was then invited back to give out the music award some years later, and which is just hilarious to me. And you know, and I still have it now. And you're right with the school, and it's nice to talk about it honestly, because the reality of growing this thing is a lot of my role is like I have to take on the marketing hat, and that's hard work. And it's not my natural personality. I'm not naturally like hey, you want to learn blah blah. It's just I had to really get over that. And I do it because it works, and I care about it being effective more than I care about the fact that I can't watch my own ads. I'm like, I can't watch this guy. I hate the sound of my own voice. I look stupid, and I'm like, why am I talking so loud?
For our own worst critics.
But I'm like, but it works, and I've got a bigger purpose than the main security, and I do it because I care. And we do a lot of free classes, and the purpose of the free class is to unlock somebody to realize, whoa, it doesn't have to be complicated. Whoa, because it's so unbelievable for me to say, oh yeah, it's fun, fast, and simple, and blah, especially if you've tried before. So then my way of selling this was, I'm going to give you a free class. And because I'll just show you. And we had to work this out. I had to work this out for some legal form. And I don't remember, we've got it written in the next room. I don't remember the number, but thousands of hours I've delivered of that. And if there was any other motivation, I would have just stopped so long ago because it was so hard. Same in music. It's been so hard already. I wouldn't do this if I didn't give a shit. Because, and not to sound conceited or anything like that, I just don't need to. I was making more money than I could ever dream of playing concerts. Which was kind of nuts. And but I love it. And I love music too. And it's just another create. It's just another thing for me to create. It's another piece of art for me to work on. And this piece of art makes artists. And that's quite an exceptional piece of art when you think about it. And I've made a lot of mistakes with it though. And I've learned, just like with music, like there's been a lot of, it was not like easy. And I wouldn't want anyone to think it was. But yeah, that's been the journey so far.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Gift it to other people who will gift it to other people.
100%. That guy in Germany, in a country, the guy I was speaking about earlier, the student who's now playing all these shows, I've never heard of any of the cities. And I was like, so funny. I sat on a wall and said, one day I'm going to have people who live in places that I've never heard of, and they're going to play and they're going to put beauty there. And I asked him, I didn't put these words. He's never heard me say these things I'm saying to you because it's the first time I've done an interview like this. But I asked him what he'd enjoyed most about the academy. And he said, oh, I've become somebody that can put beauty into my environment. And I get to go around this place where I've lived my whole life, but now I make it beautiful. And I was like, that's insane, because that was my entire goal for this thing when I sat on a wall some years ago with my mate looking at people in the street. And I didn't engineer anything. I mean, I built the thing, but somehow you've got the exact thing that I aimed at. And then we did the next guy, exact same thing. Then we talked to the next girl, same thing. And I'm like, oh, this is just wonderful. Wonderful. So I do love that. I love it.
I can tell. I can really tell.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so beautiful and passionate. Obviously, I was talking to someone, this woman yesterday, part of the FLC community, who does art with felt. So she takes felt, sheep wool, and water and soap and makes really cool objects with this felt. And we were talking a lot about how a lot of people will tell you, I'm not creative, or they're not creative, or I'm just not a very creative person. It's not who I am. But actually, I feel like everyone has a creative side. We're just not taught to tap into that often. So I'm curious on your thoughts about that too. Do you get many people that come to you like, oh, it's great, but I'm not creative. I couldn't.
It's not that you're not creative. It's not that you're not creating. You become creative by creating. I'm not fit. That's because you don't work out. Like, you can become fit pretty quickly, but you got to work out. Like, of course you're not fit. You don't go to the gym. Of course you're not creative. You don't create anything. You live your life as a spectator, as a consumer, as a audience member. You're always in the effect seat. Nothing wrong, by the way. I'm the biggest fan of music. I'm an audience member more than anybody. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a consumer. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But life in balance can be better. I have this tattoo. It's nice to have a yin and yang. It's nice to create and receive. It's nice to give and receive. It's nice to love and be loved. It's nice to extend friendship and receive friendship. And too much of any other one is horrible. The biggest problem I see in the world right now is this weird, unfulfilling selfishness. I think it's the root of everything. And creating is one of the greatest acts of service you can do, because when you create something, you always have a destination in mind. You're making things for someone. When I make a song, I'm imagining the person I'm going to play it for. I'm imagining a room full of people I'm going to play it for. And I make a lot of things. I'm very creative. I write books, which I've not released any, but I really should. I love to write. I love to read. I love to cook. I love to eat. I love to play. I love to listen. But a lot of people come in and say, I'm not creative. I'm like, of course you're not. But you will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the answer to that.
The whole thing of yet. Like I'm not successful yet.
Sure.
Yeah. It's yeah.
And you are. Like, I've never met anybody unsuccessful, because you've decided on a series of things. You've made choices. Now, you may have been unconscious when you made those choices, or you may have chosen not to choose, which is also a choice. But by design, your life is where it is. Now, you might have got to a point in your life, and I'm not trying to make anybody wrong, but this is a fact. You might have got to a point in your life where you've taken so little responsibility for your own life that you feel like it's happening to you, and you're the victim of your own existence. But it is a statement of fact that you are the principal author of the novel, which is you. And if you don't like what you're reading, stop fucking writing it. And you are successful. You're just successful at writing something you don't like right now. And you can be successful at writing something else. You're really successful at doing a job you don't like. You're really successful. But normally, that sounds really cynical when I say that, but it's just what I've observed through dealing with thousands of people. Equally, I've never met anybody that wasn't good at something and knew they were good at something. And, oh, you're unsuccessful. Why? Because you don't have $1 million in the bank. Okay, but you're a great listener. You're a wonderful mother. And you make me feel seen. And you're a beautiful friend. And you know how to make a sourdough like no one ever, like, and you invalidate that because it's not $1 million. Well, if I gave you the $1 million, you can't buy those things that you've got. You can't buy being a good listener. You can't buy being a great mother. You can't buy, like, being that kind of person. And people's qualities, something I've learned in my life, the qualities that make people special have nothing to do with the material stuff. And the beauty of that is you already have it and you'll never be able to lose it. You can lose money, so what? You can make more. Money's like poop. You push hard enough, you make more. Like,
quote that.
Yeah. And also, like poop, if you inevitably you're gonna make more anyway. Like, it's poop. It's just fucking poop. It just comes and goes and comes and goes. That's money. Creativity, kindness, affinity, integrity, loyalty, ethics. These are yours. You can't lose them. Ethics you can, but you can regain it. And that's your stuff. Creativity, compassion, courage, integrity, to do what's right, even when it's not in your own interests. That's how you love yourself. There's no Chanel bag that's ever going to feel as good as doing something you know to be correct, even if it's not in your advantage. And when you live a life where you're doing what you know to be correct as much as you humanly can, which is a bar I'm always trying to push to the highest level of that. I want to live a life of the greatest good. I hold myself to an incredibly high standard. That doesn't always make me happy, but it does make me respect myself. And I've had a lot of fancy shit. McLaren. I've got a funny Ferrari right now. That Ferrari, I promise, me as a banker, I already had all that bullshit and I was miserable. And I was miserable before banking, in honesty. And I thought banking would fix it. And on my first week, when I got the signing bonus and I went and bought the Prada suit and I went and sat in the Wolseley in this fancy restaurant and they brought me my food. And when I was waiting for it, this air of bullshit that I told myself wore off. And I realized I was the same idiot with the same worries in a fancy suit. And now I've been poor, I've been rich, I have this, I give it away, I get it, I give it away, I get it, I throw it into the next fucking investment, I'm so unserious with that stuff because you can't take anything that's valuable. You'll never be able to take away my integrity, my courage, my persistence, my tenacity, my friendliness, my kindness, my love of humanity. That gets tested, but you'll never take it away. I'll never let you convince me the world is bad. I'll never let you convince me that there's no hope. I will not be convinced there's nothing I can do about it. I'll not be convinced that it's not my responsibility, any condition in this planet. My responsibility. The guy that gets knocked down by a car in India, I could have done something about it. And I chose not to. And you could go, oh, come on, yeah, you can't fix the whole world. No, I know you can't, but that doesn't mean I'm not responsible. I have a degree of responsibility. And I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm going to push myself to live at an increasingly higher level. Doing this interview was uncomfortable. I didn't really want to do it. Like, initially, I was like a bit nervous. You're very friendly and lovely. But I was nervous because, people write mean things online. And I was like, God, do I really need to deal with that? People telling me my teeth look stupid and my nose is a bit bent and whatever. And someone's going to fact check something and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. There's going to be some argument and someone's going to take offense that I said the thing about the fat people and they're going to take it the wrong way. Someone's probably going to cut a soundbite out of it. And all of that. And I see people been torn down. They just try and do something in this world and get torn down. I see my heroes get torn to pieces by this toxic machine called social media. But it only works if you give a shit. And I came to realize that I don't give a shit because there's nothing I can lose. There's nothing you can take away from me of any value. You can take the money, you can take the prestige, you can take my name, you can take everything. You'll never take away what makes me strong. You'll never take away what makes me brilliant. You'll never take away the thing that I have been through to get to a point where I can genuinely like the person I am. I earned that. You can't remove it. You just can't. And again, some fuck withable. Fuck with me. You can fuck with me. I'm sure you could. People could. You can destroy me. You can make me feel really self-conscious. Trust me, I already do. You can ridicule me. You can do all these things, but I'm fundamentally unfuckwithable and I will succeed because I'm just not going to stop. And I'm never going to succumb to your invitation that I should stop. I'll never succumb to the invitation I should be less and be smaller and aim lower and apologize and like, just fuck it. It's not me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. And with that, you can build everything tenfold.
Of course
do it over and over.
100%.
As long as you have that.
Yeah. It's, if you can't be brave, think what would a brave person do and just do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I speak with a lot of people who, and because we teach sales, and then a lot of people are scared to do sales, and
it is scary.
What I tell them, it is. I still get scared, and I've been doing it for 3 years.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm sure. And what I tell people is, hey, what would Chabaria say? What would they do? Who's your idol? What would they say right now? And just, yeah. So
sales is only. I had a really hard time. I have to sell the school before that, I have to sell my shows. I had an agent, I had a manager. It's all bullshit. I got rid of everybody. I've been independent from the beginning. It's the only way I was able to make any money, actually. I met so many famous people, and they're like in horrible contracts with. The stories I could tell you, but in the interest of respecting their privacy. But I've heard horror stories, many of them. Now, it's not to say there's a benefit to working with a team. You need a team. You want to get anything done, it can't be you. That you're just not. I don't know where my iPhone. Even this cup, one person probably can't make this cup. Someone's got to go mine the clay, and somebody's got to well the water, and then somebody's going to put it together. Someone's got to build the structure and the fire. Someone's got to go mill the fuel. It takes a lot of people to make a cup, and so life is a collaborative effort. Stupid. The solo entrepreneur is the stupidest concept in the world. That's doing everything and being very small. People stay small because they're not able to create a team. So I'm not saying that being this unsigned musician is the best thing in the world, but I am saying there's a lot of pariahs in music, and I am saying when you're starting out in this and you're so hungry for it, there's a lot of people that are like these dark people. These are like dark people. Guys offer me record deals who are later in prison for pedophilia, and like these are dark people. And I didn't want any of that. And I kind of lost my track of thought there. Where's it going? What did you say before that?
About building a team. We were
Yes.
about.
That's what I was going to say is I was very backed off doing sales because it's like tacky. It's like not elegant. It's like, oh. Again, coming from like nothing, I don't know why I had this misconception growing up that so many things are beneath me. It's so arrogant. The naivety of youth. And now it's weird. Like I relish that. Like the more I've gone up, the more I relish fucking anything. I'll scrub out. But back then it used to irk me because I felt like I was destined for more. And then I so got over all that stuff. Entitlement is such a bitch, and I really used to have it. I don't anymore at all. I'm the monk who sold his Ferrari at this point. But the point I was going to make is this: the trick to sales, as someone who's now sold a lot of stuff, many tens of millions of dollars of stuff, is you have to be selling something that helps, and it really has to be. Selling crypto sucks. It doesn't help anybody. Selling some criminal product in a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yeah.
A lot of politicians, like you're on TV selling that idea. You don't believe in it. You're just trying to get your insider information to go make a trade. I saw so much of that in banking, by the way. Like there's so much corruption and they're all selling, and it makes selling have a bad name. But the way I think about selling is just, I have something that a certain portion of the population are going to love. And it's my duty to make that known. It's not my duty to convince you. If you don't want it, click, let me get the next thing. Like, I don't do hard sell. I do get more leads. You don't want it? No problem. Get me another one. You don't want it? Get me another one. There's no more people? Right, I'm going to take everything I've got and funnel it into advertising so we fill up the leads again. Right, this is what it is. You want amazing. And you're like, I know what it is. I know the value it's got. And I know that some people might, they want to play banjo instead or whatever. Or I don't know, they're more into tap dancing. Like, wicked. Like, great. I'm not going to twist your arm because you're only going to become a refund cycle. I learned that the hard way. I tried the whole high pressure sales thing, which didn't come, by the way, from an evil place. It really backfired. I got like a lot of negative reviews for it. And they were right. They were actually right. It was my fuck up because I was so passionate about my product. I felt like everybody has to have it. It was not there was no bad intention. It was just pure passion for the thing I've got. And like, I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. Like, you clicked this for a reason. You obviously, some part of you must want it. And let me just tell you, like, yeah. And I'm like, look, like, you don't understand. Like, if you're going to go do regular lessons or some bullshit app or something, like, I'm telling you, like, and I feel like I'm pushing you like I would push somebody out of the road if a car was coming. I'm like, you've got to do it. You've got to. And I'd go into like this huge high pressure sales with people. And I had some sales guys who worked for me, and I'd get really angry at them. I'm like, you gave up on that. You've given up on that person. That's it. They're gone now. Like you don't get it, do you? You don't get it. You don't believe in this. Like, this is not the place for you. I was very brutal. Like, you're not, this isn't for you. If you're willing to just let people go like that, this isn't for you. You clearly don't believe in this enough and you shouldn't be here. And I got really like militant about it. And then it backfired enormously because those people who I pushed in, who fundamentally, that wasn't their thing, only become these like refund cycles or they become bitter or something. And I was like, you know what? That's not sales. That's some other person's idea. I was taking that from a movie I've seen one time. And now my approach is completely different. It's just like, I mean, I have the benefit of being able to share thousands of testimonials now. So I'm like, look, you can see what it is. This, if you've ever wanted to do piano, I promise you it's the best thing in the world. I promise you, because I've done everything else. And everybody's got I make a lifetime fail-proof guarantee. You can go through the program, finish the program. If you don't like it at the end of the program, I'll give you money back. You've got to buy it. You've got to go through the whole program. It doesn't work if you don't do the program. It doesn't work if you don't buy it. You come through this program, you don't like it, I'll give you money back. That's confidence. And I'm not going to push you, buy it or don't, because I'm going to go get some more leads. There's 7 billion people. I've not got a shortage of leads. And you don't have to have it. It doesn't change my life. It's going to change yours dramatically. It ain't going to change my life. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just, I've got to let somebody have their own self-determinism. I've got to allow someone to arrive at their own decisions. And I give them I want to give them the most information possible. I want to give them everything they need to make a good decision, and it's up to them. And just like I want to be allowed to make my own decisions, I've got to let them be able to make their own decisions. And so to anyone in your thing who's thinking about sales, that's my 2 pennies on sales.
We have a very similar mindset there with sales. Yeah, it's, you can't make anyone make a decision, right? They're either making a decision to go forward or they're making a decision to not. They're making a decision either way.
Right.
So yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. And all this like mirroring and there's all this like psycho bullshit.
If they do this, you do this.
Oh God. And you got to say this and ask this question. I see all these like scammy guys on their Instagram shorts or whatever. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but that ain't the way to be anyone you're proud of. You got to live with you at the end of the day. And if you got a great product, all you got to do is say it exists. Apple just goes, it's here. 15-second ad, biggest company in the world. Like at a certain point, like Elon Musk comes out, not a traditionally PR guy, but he comes out, he tries to hit the thing with a sledgehammer. It like speaks for itself. Sold out. Like he don't need to do no high pressure sales. He built a product so fucking incredible. Joe Rogan's not like, come and listen to my podcast. He just makes an amazing podcast. And he keeps doing that enough times. Now he's Joe Rogan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, that comes from being a really strong brand, a personal brand. Like, I feel like you have that really well done too. You're a strong personal brand that people like you as a person. And same with people like iPhone or Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And they buy into that. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I somebody advised me, a multi-billionaire guy, and I was sitting with him and I was on his super yacht and he'd invite me there to play this show this one evening. I'd never been on a super yacht and I was like, holy shit. And I'm on this, I mean, it was like outstanding and one of the biggest boats in the world. And I played this show and it was like, we had an amazing time. And he's got all these private chefs and everything. Then he took a helicopter to Capri and then we like picked up a bottle of wine and I was like, oh, come on. The helicopter landed in the square and everyone's like filming you. And I was like, oh, this is too cool. And in my white linen pants. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm free balling. I'm not wearing any underwear. I know you can see it. It's cool. And I'm like, I just don't care. I'm like, I'm like on cloud nine. But then and then I extended like a day and a day. And then at the end of it, I've got to leave, and it's this sunset about an hour before I've got to go, and I'm just depressed because I know what this guy does for his money. He runs this huge telecom business. I know it's never going to be me, and I know fundamentally I don't care enough about money to just do things for money forever and ever, and that's what it takes to be a billionaire. Like these guys are billionaires because they really, really, really want to be billionaires, and I'm just not that guy. I'm not going to go work in the bank for 30 years to get that. It's not, I love the boat, but it's not worth that. It's not worth the price I would have to pay for it. But I was depressed to leave because I love being on the boat. And I'm like, man, this is sad. Like I'm probably not going to come back on a super yacht before. This might be it. And he came and sat next to me. He's like, what's going on? we'd had like the best time, like nothing but laughter. And now I'm sitting here like a sad clown. So what's up? And I was like, look, do you think I could ever be a billionaire? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, really? Yeah, I could tell you how to do it right now. Really. And he gave me a very, very long speech, but I'm going to tell you that the very, very short version of it was take your name off the school, make it $5, go to a venture capital firm, raise $500 million, lose the $500 million, selling it at $5 because you can't profitably sell anything at $5, but just lose the $500 million, then go fundraise $1 billion because now you double the value of the company because you made all these sales, even though they all lost money. And then when you've burned through the $1 billion on the next ream of sales, then you keep doing that. And he's like, that's what, Uber, Netflix, they'll loss make, they're the biggest things, but they'll make a lot of loss. And then you IPO, meaning you go to the stock market, and then it's 20 billion, blah, blah, blah. And then you sell your 15%, and now you're a billionaire. And I was like, I was like, it just feels criminal to me. It's criminal for every investor the whole cycle is criminal to me. But he said, you got to take your name off it because personal brands, they don't sell for much because, it's too tied to you. And I still went and called it Ridley Academy. And the reason I called it Ridley Academy is because I'm not selling. It's not that. This is my passion. I'm not doing it for an IPO. I'm doing it because I believe in it and I want to have an amazing project. I'm not selling. I don't leave this. It's my project. And it's my contribution to humanity. And I put my name on it because it's like, yeah, I want you to know. I'm putting my name on it. I'm not hiding behind some shell company, blah, blah. Who owns Johnson & Johnson? No. Why is it called Purdue Pharma and not Bob Harris Pharma? Because Bob Harris is killing the fucking world. I don't know if he's called Bob Harris. I'm just saying. Whoever the fuck owns these evil companies where they all have these euphemistic names, and George Soros with all his bullshit, sounding nice charities, and ultimately they're destroying the planet. Why is it not called the George Soros Project? Oh, because you're like funding division and dividing people and funding like, oh yeah, that's why you don't put your name on it. I'm putting my name on it. Come and find me. Do the program. I'm the guy. That's the stamp. And the music, the same thing. Like I thought about making an artist name because I thought my music was shit. And which, by the way, that's a whole conversation. I'm about to release music. And just say, I put very little music online.
Hey.
You'll be the first person I ever tell, and anybody who listens to this, anybody who's still listening right now, this is my commitment. I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
This is the area I've failed with the most in my life. Embarrassed to admit it. I've not released very much music. I'm a musician that doesn't have songs on Spotify. What the heck is that? I've got a couple, but I've written hundreds of songs. I've recorded professionally something in the region of around 60, 70 songs at my own expense, each song costing many thousands of dollars. One of them, which is going to be the first one I release, which will be called Good Stuff, I learned how to play 115 instruments to make 115 individual instrument tracks. I self-recorded it even though I didn't know how to do music production. And then I wanted to make a dance, so I went and learned how to dance because I didn't know how to dance. And then I wrote my own choreography because I wanted to do my own, like, kind of inspired by Pulp Fiction, this like really quirky dancing, not like over sexual and prostitute-y. I wanted it to be cool. And then I wanted the outfits to be kind of chic, and I couldn't find anything, so I started making my own clothes. And then I made all the other people's clothes, and then I like choreographed thing. And then I couldn't get the visual right because I want this like Peaky Blinders color scheme. So then I just did my own director of photography, and I learned how to. Just the making of the song was 21 weeks. The entire project was 40 weeks. That was 3 years ago, and I've not released it. I spent so much money for no reason because I know I'm going to give it away at the end of it. You make all this to what? To put it on YouTube to maybe get 600 views. But, and just to give you a full circle, why have I not done it? And I want to just be honest about this because I'm a little bitch. Because I'm so scared of that failing. Because I'm petrified that whatever status I've got now will be lost when everybody finally realizes you're actually shit. And you put your song out and it gets 400 streams and it's shit. And you think it's really good and it was absolute shit. And everyone's going to laugh at you, and nobody, in fact, worse than laughing at me, has just been ignored. And I'm going to have this silent failure of the whole world not caring about something that I love more than anything. These songs, I love them. I love them. They are a craft of passion. And there's so many I've written which I love to the depth of my core. And I'm that guy again who's just scared to play because he doesn't want to find out that it's not as good as he thinks he is. And it means so much to me. And it's so funny. It's just the pinnacle of what I was talking about earlier, because this means so much to me. Failure is so intolerable. And so ironically, by definition, I have failed. And I've failed for over a decade at this. It's shameful. I have a music school and I'm scared to release music. I'm a musician and I'm scared to release music. I play sold out shows. And I've always said when I've done like interviews in these countries, they're like, why don't you have your music on iTunes? And I've been like, oh, because like what I think is like, if you want to consume my music, you should come to the show, because people don't get paid for their music on Spotify, and it's just criminalizing an industry. And so now people make this bullshit music on the laptop because you can't make quality music. It doesn't pay anymore. And so music gets degraded and blah, blah. And I do this whole speech, which I did believe. But I come up with that belief because I couldn't confront the truth. And the bitter, painful truth is I'm scared. I'm scared. And I look at these other guys who release the music and it goes well with such admiration. And such like that weird mixture of admiration and self-loathing. And then I'm getting a little older and I've got this wrinkle on my face here. And I'm like, fuck, I'm too old. I was pretty then. I'm not even pretty now. Fuck. And like, like my nose, I broke it a lot of times, but you couldn't really see it. And now you can see it a lot more. And I'm like, oh my God, and I thought I was ugly then. Fuck, it's only going to get worse. I was like, fuck, I should have leveraged my good looks when I had them and all this shit. And I'm saying all of that because I'm going to start releasing this music. And I'm going to shoot for this first song, Good Stuff, 100 pieces of content. We're in this house to start that phase. We're shooting like 5 or 10 pieces of content a day. And then I'm going to do like the world's biggest effort. And it might snowball and it might completely tank and fail. As might this podcast, by the way. Maybe nobody listens to this. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
I'm having a great time.
I'm having a great time, and whoever needs to find it will find it. And it will live on, and I'm not going to stop. And so eventually attention will get driven to this. Eventually people are going to find this. And when they do, if I've not released Good Stuff, I give you permission to find me and slap me and keep slapping me until it's released. And I've got Would You Mind? Would You Mind? I've had thousands and thousands of people. Yeah, there's two. I mean, there's more, but I've stood on stage. I've played this song 28,000 people singing it back to me in Uzbekistan. I play 600,000 people in buttfuck nowhere, Russia, singing this song. They never heard it before. It's just such a damn good song that by the end of it, they can sing along with it, which is true testament. And then I've come away and I'm too scared to even record it. I've not released it. I've not recorded it. Label executives would shoot me. And but yeah, I'm going to release that, and it's scary, and it might fail, and it might, but I'm so done with failing with that thing. It's the next hurdle. It's my next scary thing. And again, I'm going to sink all my money into it, and again, probably going to lose it, and then I'll figure it out, and I'll keep moving forward, and it's the same to everybody. I was very interested in your like community that you were telling me about, and the kind of things that you guys believe in. Just listen to this sound. This is the song. So the visual is this. It's me. This is in Ukraine just before the war. And I didn't know there was a war coming. I just happened to be there. And they were stopping my show because of COVID. But it wasn't because of COVID. It's because the government's highly corrupt. And they were stopping me because I was English. It was total bullshit. So I said, fuck you. I'm putting a piano in a park called Shevchenko Park. Everyone can come for free. You're not going to stop me playing. You can take all the money. Keep it. You're not going to stop me playing. I came here to play. I'm going to play. Put this thing in a park. I played for 7 hours. I got pneumonia because I wasn't wearing any shoes. It was really cold. But listen to this. This is Would You Mind?
Wow. Listen to that.
It's like, and I can't release it. What is wrong with me?
Wow.
Because I went back to the hotel room. Yeah, I know. I went back to the hotel room that night and I was like, it's just no way to record it because it's going to sound cliche and trite and blah. Fuck that. I'm so done with it. So that's my next challenge.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yes,
to that.
please do. I hope you do. And I give you permission to slap me too. I give it probably 2 months till the first one releases, and then it's going to snowball.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think even worst case scenario, that is what you said happens. Like no one finds it or anything.
Sure.
It's your baby that you put out there. I think that's incredible. Even.
And you know what I'll do? I'll release another one, and I'll release another one, I'll release another one, and eventually one of them will pop, and then everybody will discover the rest of them. Because the thing that came from my mindset, this was helping one of my students who was asking me about releasing music. This person has 6 Grammys, and they're asking me. I'm like, why? You're asking me about the thing I'm most scared of. And I was very honest with him. I was like, look, I gotta be honest, you're touching on my biggest fear. But as you've asked me the question, the answer is really obvious. Like, I discovered the Rolling Stones when I was 16. By that time, they'd released 11 albums. They had all these picture books and behind the scenes. They had the 1969 Rock and Roll Circus performance. They had all these live recordings. But to me, they didn't exist. They were nobodies. I didn't know their name. And then I met them, and I didn't meet them. I discovered their music in a movie. And what the hell is that song? And then I discovered the next song. I discovered the next song. I discovered the performance. I discovered the fashion. I discovered everything about it. I'm like, oh my God. And I deep dived. I grew my hair like theirs. I bought all the same clothes. I became a super fan. Still my favorite band. But they were like in my world, they were nobodies. And then they were the biggest stars in my life.
Yeah.
And that's true of many people. But I said to him, I don't have any music on Spotify, but for a lot of people, I'm their Mick Jagger. And it's the wildest thing. And it was Sting that taught me that. It was Sting who told me, I was like invalidating myself. We were both playing this show in Italy. And he came out after, and I played before him, and then he played at some big private event. And I was like, dude, like, have you got any tips for me? Like, how could I ever be like you? You're like one of my heroes. And he's like, you know the difference between me and you? We can both sing. You can play, I can play. You can do the stage thing, I do the stage thing. You have a great, like, honesty on stage. And he had said all these nice things, and I got that, and you've got that. The difference between me and you is Roxanne, Shape of My Heart, Desert Rose, Every Breath You Take, Can't Stand Losing You. I was like, uh-huh. He's like, you need to lock yourself in a room and don't come out of it until you've got that. And he was like, but also bear in mind, you got booked tonight just like I got booked. And for those people, you're Sting. And I was like, oh. He's like, there's one of you. He's like, the beauty of being an artist, there's one of you. It's different if you're an accountant. But when you're an artist, there's one of you. And if they like your art, then for that person, you are Mick Jagger. Because there's one of you. So long as there is enough work out there for them to deep dive into. Because if I discovered the Rolling Stones and they only had one song, that'd be it. It'd just be another TikTok song that I liked one time. But it's because they had such a volume of high quality work, such a volume of output, such a willingness to communicate, just throw songs out, throw photographs, throw movies out. The thing that I'm a bit scared of doing. There was enough there for people to become super fans of. And that was a very recent discovery, accidentally helping somebody else, telling him this story. And I was like, wait, I've not lived by this. And so I called up everybody at Ridley Academy. I was like, listen, there's going to be there's a new thing. I mean, they're used to it now. Every 6 weeks, I am like, guys, here's the next thing. It's, I need an airplane. I need an airplane and 2 parachutes and a piano. I've got.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's that's the beauty and curse of freedom.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's true. Like some of my favorite artists, there's certain songs that I always skip. They're my favorite ever artists.
What if that was the only song they ever had?
Exactly. Then where would they be?
Right.
Yeah, so true. I love that. And one of my very good friends, and someone who, if you're in the FLC community, you'll be very aware of, Seb Williams, always says that what people say often, there's an art to sales, there's an art to music, there's an art to this. He says there's an art and a science to sales and marketing. And I'm curious, and how true do you think that is with learning music and actually, yeah, putting your music out there, learning it, teaching it. There's an art and a science.
Before I speak about something, I like to be really clear about the terms that we're using. So,
I like that.
science, noun, the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation. So, experimentation and the testing of theories against evidence obtained. So, as I think about that, it's you have a postulate, you have an idea, you have a theory, you go and put it out there and you observe if it works or not. Or option B is you just observe and then from that try to deduce a theory. But it's an observational route to knowledge. Okay, good. I can think with that. Now let's define art.
I love this.
The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. Typically, and then it goes on and on and on. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. It's very hard. I feel like everything is a spectrum of both, and some might lean more towards the artistic and some lean more towards the scientific. But even in music, pure playing the piano, there's a lot of science in that, meaning knowledge derived from observation. The piano has 88 notes. Why those notes? My voice can make 1,000,000 notes. Oh, there's all these various different notes. My voice. So why those 88? Because through observation, the ancient Greeks found that notes with this spacing created a certain, what they called ethos, which literally means character. But they found certain combinations of notes produce a certain emotional effect in people. This combination make people feel happy. This combination make people feel sad. This combination make people feel longing. This combination make people feel catharsis. That was an observation. That was a science. And music in ancient Greek culture was used for healing. It was a medical thing. You would lay on a plinth of marble and they would make the marble vibrate at certain frequencies as a healing property because they found through observation that this produced results. There is a science to tuning a piano. I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's something called equal temperament, but it's the distance proportionally between each note is the same all the way up the piano. That's a mathematical music theory itself. You don't need to know this, by the way. This is totally against my ethos as Ridley Academy, but I went through and learned this stuff and I'm the biggest geek in the world, so I just know about it. But Pythagoras came up with modern music theory. Modern music theory, two millennia ago. But so funny. And I really need to give myself more credit. But
I agree.
Yeah, but he tremendously scientific. So even something as artistic as pure art, music itself, there is a science to it. There is stuff that's been found through observation to be successful. My entire school is built on a new method, which is scientific. It's a method that I went out and I observed. Oh, if we do it like this and this and this, and we get rid of that and we put it in this order, anybody can do that. Oh, and if I do this, 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 now anybody can improvise. If you do this, 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 this is how you learn by ear. That was observation. It's very scientific. So there's definitely a science to everything because there's a way to do anything. There's a way to have a conversation. There's a way to run a bath. There's a way to make a cup of tea. There is a science to everything because that's just the successful way of doing things, which has been derived from observation. That is called learning from the wisdom of experimentation, be it yours or somebody else's. Now, art, let's see how much art is in sales and marketing. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of art in everything because creative skill, what does it mean to create? It means to put something there that wasn't there before. And if you think about what the definition of a god is, irrespective of what your religious affiliation, a god is that force which creates in every religion. A god is that force which creates. I grew up Christian, went to a Christian school. God, creator, Genesis, let there be light. Now, when we approach creative endeavors in life, we become godlike. It is divine. It's something you physically feel on the piano. They call it the flow state. I've actually got flow tattooed on my ankle.
Nice.
And because it's the most magical form of consciousness. It's divine. It's truly divine. And I feel closer in those moments of music to God than in any form of prayer, than in, I meditated and meditated. Music is my meditation. Definition of meditation is pulling intense focus to a singular thing. Well, music very easily captures all of my attention, and I have this intense focus, but I'm creating. So it says here, art is the application of creative skill and imagination. So creative skill, putting something there that wasn't there before. Well, of course, advertising is that, because it wasn't there before.
You made it.
And the degree to which you can intelligently use your creativity, of which you have infinite, by the way. You have infinite quantities of observation. So science is limitless. You have infinite ability to deduce and reason. Science is limitless. You have infinite creativity. All you've got to do is create. If you're lacking creativity, just create, and then you'll get more of it. Ironically, you don't burn out. You just stop doing it. If you want more of it, it's not fuel. You don't. No, you actually get more by doing it more. You get fitter by doing more workouts. You get more creative by doing more creativity. So that's limitless. And then imagination, yet another limitless thing. Ask any kid. And remember that you were once that kid. And so we have 4 limitless things. And in any activity which I'm proud of, I'm using a balance of those things. The beauty of creativity is you can come up with an idea and then use science to test if it's true or not. That's writing a song. I think that'd be cool. Oh, no. So I had an idea and then I observed. There was an art and a science. Music school, originally when I started doing this, I had this totally different idea of how I was going to do it. That was a creative activity. Oh, no. Sales, I had a way where I thought I was going to sell it. Again, I regret this. My first ads, I was like, you can learn in 3 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day. Now, the reason for that is because at the time, the course was organized into these tiny 3-minute chunks. Because I'd surveyed people and I'd be like, do you want to learn piano? They said, yeah. And I said, why don't you? And they said, because I don't have time. And everyone said the same thing. And I was like, all right, I need to make it not take time. And so I came up with this gimmick that was creative of you can learn in 3 minutes a day. That ended up backfiring enormously because nobody believed it. And truthfully, through observation, it wasn't the most successful way to learn. And so I tinkered, I tried, and now I found it's actually 10 minutes a day, and that's real. So there was creative observation. And so I'm constantly alternating between those, but I put the create first. Some people observe first, some people create first. I tend to find that the freest and most self-determined individuals, the happiest people, create their life. They're not looking for love, they create love. They're not looking for friendship, they create friendship. They're not looking for success, they create success. They're not finding happiness, they're creating happiness. They create those moments. They invite the friends around. They get the chessboard. They do things to engineer the thing they want to have. And that's create. That takes putting something there that wasn't there before. It's the most divine, godly skill you have. And it's within you. Because your entire mock-up, the outfit that you're wearing, the beauty of your hair, everything that you've done today was your create. You put that there. No one told you what to wear. You put into existence that which was not. And you've thrown it together and it's an expression of you. That's divine. It's why we admire the arts, because we instinctively know that we are recognizing the most divine part of another human being. That's why namaste, I honor the divinity within you.
Wow.
That's what that word means. It's why we revere art. It's why when Billie Eilish, the first time I heard her, I cried. Another time in my life when I cried.
One of my favorite artists.
Oh my God. And I cried because she reminded me of a feeling I didn't know I'd felt. And I was like, oh my God. And the song, I Love You. I love you. And the day that came out was the day I'd bought these huge studio monitors that are offensively loud. And I listened to it on full volume. And when that bass came in, the room shook. And that's when I cried. And I was like, now, why am I crying? Because she's that's creativity. That's godlike. It's divine. It's literally the highest of human abilities. And me just receiving it, I duplicate that. And I'm so appreciative that she did it. And I've been to cultures where they don't have art. I've been to cities in Russia in the Soviet times, they didn't have any art. Novosibirsk, Krasnodar. There's like very little aesthetic there. It's just functional.
Yeah.
You go, whoa, what's the point in living? There's nothing to do here. I've been to many places in the world where art's not revered because they become so consumerist. They become so corporatized. They become so, there's nothing wrong with consumerism, but anything can get too much. You can put too much salt on anything. And where I've gone to those cultures, I've just seen, wow, there's like no humanity. There are humans, but they're doing the sciencey thing. They're just not creative. And so for me, like any job is a mixture of art and science. And when you understand what they are, you understand when to wield which. I think when you're on a phone call and you're doing sales, you should be highly creative. You should be using your imagination and creative ability to do what you can to help the guy on the phone. Immediately after, you should be scientific and study what went right and what went wrong. When you become a real pro in any activity, you can observe in real time.
Yeah.
So whilst we're talking, I'm observing and I can create in response to. When I play a show now, I'm listening. When you're a junior pianist, you play piano. I have now got to this point when I'm doing the show, I'm listening. I'm listening to the song. I'm listening to the audience. And I'm instantly reacting in accordance to it. So it's this constant like create, observe, create, observe, create, observe, create, observe, art science, art science, art science, art science. It's life and livingness. And I think everything can be. And again, it's just your own application. Do you want to be lazy? That's science. Because you could be real lazy. Oh, Bob says do these 5 things. I should do mirroring and I should do NLP. And then that is a science. Somebody observed it worked, I guess. But there's none of your creative skill or imagination in it. So it's not going to have any aesthetic. It's going to be pretty horrible. There's none of you in there. And equally, if it was purely you with no observation, you'd suck.
Yeah.
You'd never like check that, some artists are like very weird and they make this art that nobody likes and they justify it by saying, I do it for me. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's called a hobby. It's also called musical masturbation. You're the only one that gets pleasure. I wouldn't be proud of that. Like the purpose of an artist is to move people, to give them like it's a weird thing to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm a hairdresser, but I do it for me. I just cut my own hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, then you give nothing to anybody.
You're not a hairdresser.
Right. That means you have no value. It means nobody can use the thing that you make for any good, which makes you useless. And you do it for you. Well, that's useless because a human being is put on this planet to be of service and you give nothing to anybody. You do it for you. Great. You're just sitting in your room jacking off all day with a banjo. Great. So similarly, if you don't observe, you can get stuck in the creative thing a bit too much.
Yeah.
And
the more you give, the more you get. Anyway, the more you put out there.
Preach. It's like that's
we could go deep into that. We could have a whole conversation about that.
That's the guiding principle of my life.
Yeah, I can tell. I can really tell that you're very giving. Yeah. So I love this conversation, by the way. I feel like we're having so many different conversations in this, which I absolutely love, and touching so many different topics, which thank you so much for.
Hey, pleasure.
I just have a couple more questions. Is everything okay with your call, by the way? 8:20. Are you sure?
It's overrun, but fuck it. This is important. And I have a general philosophy to finish the cycle of action that you're on.
I like that. Finish cycles. Yes, absolutely. Well, one of the biggest worries or the most heard things I hear from our students is they want to start a business. They want to start their freedom lifestyle, whatever that looks like. It looks so different for everyone. But they think, why me? It's that question of why me? They don't feel like they have what it takes to succeed. They can see everyone else doing it, sure, but they don't feel like they have that. And I'm sure it's the same with music, or whether people either just want to learn the piano or make a career of it. It's that question of, okay, cool. It's cool for you or for other people that are doing it, but why me? What would you say to people that are struggling with that limiting belief?
I'd say you're right. And I'd say those who believe they can and those who believe they can't are both right. And the only difference between you and the guy doing it, he might not even believe he can. He's just doing it anyway. And another thing is, you're also right. You don't have what it takes to succeed because you've not done it yet. You're going to get what it takes to succeed by going through the journey that you have to go through to succeed. That's how you develop what it takes to succeed. But you don't need what it takes to succeed. You need what it takes to take step one. Success is going to be 1,000 steps. You just need what it takes to make step one. And you've got that. And step one's a decision. You can make a decision. You're already making one. You're making one that I'm not good enough. Why not try another one out? Why not try out this decision? I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know if I can make it succeed. And I've never done it before. So it would be crazy for me to be confident. That would actually be crazy. I would be Kanye West crazy if I thought I could do this having never done it.
True.
So I don't know if I can do it. And I might not have what it takes yet. Probably don't have what it takes yet because I've not been tested in this way by life. I've lived in this bubble called a comfort zone and I want to be here. Well, I'm going to have to fucking suck a lot. All right. So a better thing to say to yourself, and this could be your first step, is I don't have what it takes yet. I don't know what I'm doing, but I can figure it out. But another way to frame this is just, I'm going to go on a journey. This journey is going to be an amazing story. If I don't go on this journey, I've got no story. My life will be a nothing, and I will die a nothing, and I will live a nothing if I ever live at all. Or I'm going to have a go at an adventure. A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships were made for. I'm going to go out. I wrote a whole poem about this, by the way.
Oh.
Restless it presses to push past the tide. To go on a journey where others have died. I can't remember. Oh yeah, I hold out my wrists and lay. I hold out my arms and lay my wrists bare. A ship safe in harbor but hates itself there. Restless it presses to push past the tide. To go on a journey where others have died. To come out with nothing but glory and pride. They'll say there's no hope, but we know it's a lie. I can't remember the rest of it.
Wow. Powerful.
You are. You really are powerful. And you're either going to use that power to hold yourself down or just let go of that. It takes so much effort. Your natural instinct is expansion. Your natural instinct is curiosity and creativity.
Like children.
Exactly. And you were that kid. You can't stop a kid wanting to touch the fire, play with this, play with this. You get socialized into restraining yourself. It takes so much work. It takes so much force to hold yourself back. Just let it go. Dance in the middle of the street. Walk down the street and sing. I do weird things. People think I've lost my mind sometimes. I was in London on the tube the other day and my feet weren't, I bought these new shoes. They weren't comfy. I took my shoes off. All right. You know what I learned, by the way? The tube floor is warm. So nice. I was like, wow, this is nice. It's warm.
Who would have known?
Yeah.
You'd never know that.
Yeah. I'll walk down the street singing. I'll go running. I do my vocal training when I'm running. So I run and sing and then people think I'm crazy. And
who cares?
Just let it go. Just let it go. And my advice to people who are suffering with that self-torture thing is you're doing that. And that's fine if you want to. But either there's two choices. Like if you're in that place, you can either accept that and you make a little sign that says, I'm a little bitch, and put it around your neck and then stop fucking complaining. Yeah. Or recognize that you're like creating the thrust and the counter thrust. You're pressing the accelerator and the brakes at the same time. It's much more comfortable to let go of the brakes than the accelerator. You let go of the accelerator, you're going nowhere and you know it, and it fucking sucks. And there's no point waking up when you know you're not going to go anywhere. What's the point of living a life where there's no destination, you're not going to move? You let go of the brakes, you might crash. The beautiful thing is the car's invincible.
Yeah.
You can't die until you're dead. And there's so many things. There's so many things you're going to learn on that journey to success. And it's going to go on all different tangents and it's going to take 10 times longer than you might expect. And it's fine because every step of this is an amazing story. And one day, if you're lucky, a beautiful ginger lady is going to come and ask you all these amazing questions. You can get to share the journey with her. And either way you lived. Either way you lived. And what is success and failure anyway, other than just having a go at doing what you want to do? What does that mean? What does success mean? Success means to me, like, why do I not feel tortured that I'm not a ballet dancer? Why am I not the primo in the English National Ballet? Why does that not torture me? because I never decided to be one. I never decided to be a ballet dancer. And yet there's some girl somewhere in England who's working in Carphone Warehouse, and she's absolutely distraught that she's not a ballet dancer because she made a decision and then she did something else. She made a decision, she did something else. You have to honor your dreams. You have to honor and worship them like they're gifts from God, because they're the most holy thing you've got. You want motivation, it's right there in that. You want satisfaction, fulfillment, it's right there in that. You want to feel rich, it's in that. It's never in a bank account. There's no money. There's no number that's big enough. There's no number. You want to feel rich? You honor that dream. You want to feel satisfied? You want to feel proud of yourself? You want to love yourself? You want to have confidence? Honor that dream. Even though you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Even though you don't know what step 2 is yet. Just do step 1.
No one does at first.
No. And we live in a world now where with YouTube, there's so many people you can learn from. There's so much. Like, I consume more online education than I believe anyone. I spend more, even in music, by the way. I'm the biggest music student there is. I drink knowledge. I always have. And then I balance it with activity, because you can get a bit cerebral just listening to bullshit all day long. But I balance. If I can take one thing out of a podcast, it's worth it. Put it on when I'm driving, when I'm going to the gym, whatever. I don't have to now go through what you went through to learn that. What I've shared today can save people 15 years, 20 years of misery. I hope they take it. I hope you run with it. I hope this isn't just something that makes you feel good and then you go back to doing what you were doing before. Because what's the fucking point? You just wasted all of our time. Change is exciting. It's thrilling. It's scary. It's living. You will get wrinkles. You will get grazes on your knees. You will live. And I wish that for everybody. Win or lose, you'll keep going until you win. That's it. Just never surrender. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone watching, I promise you, the pain of regret is worse than the pain of doing and failure.
Yeah.
Regretting is worse. So do yourself a favor. It's the highest form of self-love to go after what you actually want and have that discipline.
Yeah. Sadness is selfish. You do nothing for anybody. You're terrible company to your husband and wife. You're a terrible example to your kids. So I'm sure that's going to be controversial, but fuck it. That's how I feel. Selfish to be sad. It's selfish to not go after your dreams. It's selfish. You set a bad example for those around you. You're bad company for those around you. You're not the highest version of yourself. And you can pretend to make it right and positive reinforcement and blah, blah, give me more welfare. Fuck that. You're better than welfare. Nobody should have welfare. I don't say that from a right-wing place. I say that because you have more dignity than that. You're capable of more. Fuck that. Fuck being convinced that you have to settle for that. Fuck being like cornered into a tiny little life where you're going to live on the little paycheck the government gives you and do what they tell you to do, and fuck all that. Like, it's not about money. It's about self-determinism. It's about you set what your life's going to be and then you go and do it. And win or fail, you're doing your journey. And fuck keeping up with the Joneses, by the way. And fuck your tax receipts. And fuck, I didn't make as much money by 30 as I thought I would. And fuck, I should have had a kid by now, but I didn't. Who cares? Like, who fucking cares? Are you living your life? Are you doing it? Are you actually doing it? Or are you just on the sidelines waiting for one day? And you know the answer. You know the answer. You can pretend to be successful. You can buy all the Hermes and Gucci shit. I bought some Gucci. It doesn't mean nothing. It's somebody else's dream that you're now wearing. That was Giorgio's dream. And you're honoring it every time you buy an overpriced belt. And I did the same. I'm not. But I'm driving Enzo's car. That was his dream. I didn't build it. I'm fucking glad he did. Like, just fuck a meek little life. Fuck all this left-wing stuff. The reason I don't like left-wing stuff, man, this is going to be divisive. But I was very left-wing. I grew up very left-wing. I come from such a poor place. And, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. This, like, you know what? I'm not even going to go into politics because you can leave that in. I have no problem at all. If I don't want to edit any of this, by the way, just release it as it is. Put timestamps so we can take sound bites from it. But it's very, very, very hard to get with the whole you're a victim narrative. You're a victim. You're a victim. Fighting for your rights implies you don't have them. Who convinced you of that? Black Lives Matter. Yeah, of course they do. But the very idea that we have to fight for that presupposes that you're downtrodden. And so actually Black Lives Matter is constantly postulating that you're not quite there yet. And Morgan Freeman said this thing. He was like, I don't want a Black History Month. He was like, just talk to me as Morgan. I'm Morgan. Stop calling me a black man. Stop, like, you put me in that box and then I've got to fight to get out of the box. I'm like, I'm not saying I know what it's like to be a black person. I've not had that. I'm not saying I know what it's like to be anything other than what I've been. I've not walked a mile in those shoes, and I'm not saying it's not hard, and everybody's got challenges. And I don't say, like, we all have different starting points. I've been around a lot of fucking silver spooned lucky motherfuckers that got born in the right family, and I've been bitter as all fuck that wasn't me. I want a double barrel surname in the pinky ring, and I want the job in banking because daddy's going to give him another fucking contract. Oh God, well, I'd love it. I want to be like, man, like, I've started making it at the time I'm getting wrinkles. Fuck. Like, I wanted to be 20 with the Lambo. Fuck. Banging Daisy Big Tits. Like, I wanted that. Like, right? Yeah. But fuck it. Like, and I want to be better looking. I want this and blah, blah, blah. I wish I was 6'5". But fuck, I'm not going to get convinced I'm a victim in short people's rights. I'm not that short, by the way, I'm 6 foot, and I'm not going to go into like goofy English men's rights. I'm not going to because it presupposes I don't have them. And women's rights. Okay. I mean, I'm saying this to a woman, but you have to start out with the initial premise that you are less to adopt that movement. I just don't agree with it. Who convinced you? The same people who are pushing this rights movement. And it all leads back to George fucking Soros, who's just trying to destroy the world. He's trying to create division. And it's all bullshit. I get on an airplane. I look at I live my life on airplanes. I look out the window. I don't see any lines on the floor. Don't see this country thing. Don't see this culture thing. It's a little rock in the middle of a vast, infinite nothing. And fuck knows how we all managed to survive and not kill each other. But we do. And we do because human beings are fundamentally good. Because the quiet 99% majority that are not all over social media just get on with it and do good things for this world. They're the nurses, they're the doctors, they're the corner shop men, they're the taxi drivers. They're the vast majority of people that don't make a big hoo-ha out of it. And nothing wrong with making a big hoo-ha, by the way. I'm just saying negative people have an unusually large microphone these days. And they make the world seem negative. And the media and the bullshit and the rabble rousers trying to convince you of your rights, presupposing you don't have any, convincing you downtrodden and you need their welfare, that you need the safety net of the state, that you need the state to provide for you, and social security and block. Fuck that. Create. Go and fucking create. Your dream as a kid was not social security. Your dream as a kid was not living on fucking welfare. Your dream as a kid was not accepting some piddly little life that you got convinced into accepting, and you got convinced to restraining yourself and making sense out of. That was not, I've never met a kid that wants it. Doesn't mean we've all got to be a billionaire, because, you know, my niece, she, what do you want to be? A hairdresser? Fucking amazing. Then don't be anything else. You'll be brilliant at it because you give a shit. And my little nephew, what's he want to be? He loves animals. Some kind of thing with animal conservation, maybe a vet, maybe this, maybe that. Fucking great. Amazing. Like, because they're going to be lucky animals. They're going to have someone who gives a shit showing up every day. And you'll be rich every day. It's the Bhagavad Gita said that thousands of years ago. It's still true today. It's Epicurus said it. Aquinas said it. John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, Jeremy Bentham, they all said the same thing. This is not new knowledge. What I'm sharing is not new. It's just, are you going to do something about it or not? Or is this just another fucking podcast?
Yes. You're going to continue sitting on those sidelines, or you're going to get in the game of your life? Yeah. I feel like most people, if they're truly honest with themselves, how much of your beliefs and how you even go about day to day is your belief, or was it told to you? Shabaria says that a lot to our students. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Who told you weren't good enough? Who told you this business idea wasn't good? Who told you that?
Yeah.
Because it probably wasn't you. It was probably someone from a child onwards.
Jealous family member, bullshit banker. Who gives a fuck? Like, it's just, that's their idea. We had a thing the other day. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I was trying a song and then someone was like, oh, no, I don't like that third chord. And I was like, I didn't ask. All right. You're just one fucking guy. I don't need the whole world to like it. If 1% of the people like this, that's, what is that? 70 million people? Great. Bigger than Bieber. Like, I don't give a fuck if you like the third chord. I like it. Get that out of my mind. Or, man, the number of things, everything I've done, people told me I was wrong. When I played piano in the streets, I lost all my friends. Everybody alienated from me. And for a period of time, they convinced me I'd lost my mind, and I thought I actually had. My granddad lost his mind, and my uncle killed himself, lost his mind and killed himself. My auntie lost her mind and killed herself. I was worried that I had that in my genes, which I don't believe in anymore at all. But so I was like, fuck, if I lost my mind, maybe I have. Man, that's their idea. It's not mine. What's my idea? I'm going to do something I love. What's crazy about that? I'm going to go build a life that feels, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I know how it's going to feel. What's crazy about that? I want to have a go at something and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. What's crazy about that? I want to put beauty into the world. What's crazy about that? What's crazy about it? Just because you don't do it, just because you're threatened by somebody who's actually creating a life and it reminds you that you don't, and somehow you need to bash them back into your little box because it threatens the very nature of your entire construct, that somebody would dare to go outside of this construct. It challenges your construct, and now you've got to think for yourself about it when you never have done. I don't say that with any bitterness or malice or anything. It's just, who cares? And honestly, I could have said things that 90% of people disagree with today, and that's fine too. They're right. They are right. Anybody who has anything to say against what I'm saying, you're right. And I'm right too. And you're going to live according to your right, and it's going to be right. You're going to have the life that you create with it, and that's right, and you are right. But I'm right too. And with my right, I'll build the life I'm going to build. And you might not like it or approve of it or think it's very shiny. I don't give a fuck. It's my life. It's my story. I'm the author. I invite you to read it if you want to. You don't have the right to read it. You don't like it, close the fucking book. Go write your own book. Like, I owe you nothing. Nonetheless, I make my entire life about giving, but not because I owe it you, because I want to give. And I want to give what I want to give.
Absolutely. It all comes down to who cares?
Yeah, a little bit.
Who cares? Yeah, it's, yeah, it beautiful.
Yeah.
I love this conversation so much. And I feel like we've covered lots of different topics in this. So thank you so much for being here. Before we do wrap up fully, is there anything else, any other message you feel you want to get out there to any aspiring musicians, or just any other message you have?
I feel awkward giving aspiring musicians any tips because I feel so far from my own goal in that respect. But I might be 4 or 5 steps ahead. And if so, I hope you were able to take something from today, put it into action. Outside the back of this house, there is a cemetery. And it's full of people that had the same worries that you've got, the same considerations, the same, oh, I better not. They were nervous too. And one day, unfortunately, that will be our fate too. And until then, play. I found no evidence to suggest that life is serious. None. And all the bad things you can imagine. It's not that serious. Bankruptcy, it's not that serious. Divorce, it's not that bad. Like, you can have it. You can have losing a finger. You can have, getting kidnapped. I've been kidnapped. You can have getting punched in. I've been punched in the face. You can have it. You can have like fake legal threats. I've had that too. You can have it. It's not the end of the world. They'll never take away anything that matters. And ultimately, like, as my dad taught me, one day it's your day. And in the very split second before the end of it, you'll achieve a perspective. And you could probably imagine what that perspective will be. And if you can live with that perspective, I think that is the secret to a rich life. And I'm preaching. It's not like I'm perfect. I'm trying my best here. I do my best to live up to my own words. I do my best to be better. I spend a lot of my time on self-improvement and self-development because I want to be better. Not for anybody else, because I want to live good. And anybody who's watching this obviously has that common aspiration too. They must hold themselves to a higher standard to even be watching this. And that to me puts you in the awake population. If you're here and you're listening to this, you're clearly awake. You're clearly someone that demands improvement. You're clearly someone that needs change. And demand that of yourself is a wonderful thing. And truth be told, you could come and sit in this chair and spend a couple hours telling me all the things you've learned, and your experiences are just as valuable as mine. So there's the science. You've got your own observation. You've got your own, you can see what's true and not true. You observe what works for you in your life and doesn't. And it's your life. It's different to mine. So make your observations and then create and play with it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Stephen, for being here. I've really enjoyed this conversation so much. And if you guys watching, listening, if you guys are still here, then I bet you have also enjoyed this conversation too. So please help us, help more people. Give this a like, give it a share it to a friend that you think could benefit from everything we spoke about here today as well.
I would love a share.
Yeah.
I'd love a share. Any piece of this that you think is valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here to give a message, and I'm giving it with no hope of anything in return. I want to, there's so much shit online. There's so much negativity and bullshit. And conversations like this are beautiful. I've discovered a lot through this conversation, by the way. I've got to say thank you to you. Thank you for coming here and talking to me. I've learned a lot through the conversation too. And you remind me, actually, I want to do more of this. I was really scared about doing it because, but now I've done it. I'm like, I just don't care. I just want to do this like all day, every day. I have a lot to give. I love what you're doing. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I'm really glad. So yes, please, you heard him. Share this. Help us help more people. Spread this message. Spread the light. So everyone, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.